Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no. Stuffing things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants, so Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
Hi, good morning. It is a Monday edition of the program. Hope you all had a wonderful Mother's Day weekend. I am going to have to become a cam girl. I have no choice. Spend entirely too much money on anniversary and Mother's Day brunch. I'm broke, so if you all have interesting ideas for other options besides cam girling, I've always assumed that was my calling. The truth be told, I think some of us, like some people do it for the money. I think I might be doing it for the love of the game. But if you have, like, more specific concepts, I guess I'd be willing to consider them. Still, I'm going to need some help because it was an expensive weekend in the Clark household. It was a lot going on. But worth it. Lovely, lovely weekend.
That's what I was going to say. Worth it.
Clark seemed to enjoy all of it. I don't need to eat again until, I don't know, November.
Later today?
Thanksgiving.
Oh,
I think I'll be good. My God. All I did was eat. Oh, also, how do you like my Preakness Festival hat? Look at that.
Nice.
Look at
Wow.
that. It's like
$150 Under Armour
a bit
hat.
with like the jockey hat. It's cool. It's cool. I dig it.
Nice.
Very excited about that. That's underway. Preakness Festival 150 as we've reached Preakness week, and everybody's very excited to see no one win the Triple Crown. So that we got all that going for us. Coming up on the program today, we will chat about the Orioles winning a series. Who knew? Still something they're allowed to do. That's crazy. I thought maybe they had banned that. And while nothing about what happened this weekend is going to make you say, this is definitely when things are going to turn the corner, you never know. Maybe. Steve Johnson, former Orioles pitcher, will join us a little bit later on this hour. We'll talk about the good, a little bit of good. There was a little bit of good. A lot of bad, but still a little bit of good. They went 2-4 for the week, but they won 2 out of their last 3, and they haven't done that a lot this season. So we'll take it before they come home to face the Twins later on this morning. We'll meet Aeneas Fub Peebles. I love Fub. I just love it. It's like my favorite nickname now. In fact, I kind of want to go back and rename one of my kids Fub. If I'm being honest,
just do it.
It might be too late for that.
Which
I'm
one?
not sure. Older son, I think.
Really?
I think he looks like
he's
more of a Fub
Fub
to me. Ravens 6th-round pick, defensive tackle out of Virginia Tech. He will join us a little bit later on, and looking forward to getting to know him. Also, it's Monday, so we'll chat with Jeremy Conn. We'll go 3 up and 3 down, and much more on the program today. Today's show brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. No better place to be for the race on Saturday. Make a day out of it. Baseball, the race, the playoffs, the whole deal. Inside Sports and Social. Great giveaways. They've got a package available. I think it starts at $50. That includes your welcome cocktail when you get there. You can find out more right now at the website for Sports and Social. But then on top of that, save the date, June 7th. June 7th, GCR Poker Tournament. Details coming at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. All right, the board. The board, you say? Well, on Friday night, Tomoyuki Sagano pitched into the 8th inning, which I didn't know was allowed. I didn't know that was even an option. Honest to God, I had no clue
winning series and pitching in
that
the
you could do that. In Baltimore? In this economy? But yeah, there they were. Saying to Tomo Sagano, you go out there, you go right ahead and you pitch into inning number 8. and he did. And he allowed just one run, and he gave the Orioles an opportunity to win. And so Tomo Sagano goes back on the board, second man of the match of the season for the Orioles.
Thank you,
quote
Tom.
quote unquote rookie.
Yeah, rookie. That's right. Yeah.
I mean,
He's a good-looking rookie.
Sure. He's in the. Oh, what happened there? On my phone. Well, I don't need that.
Yeah,
What do you do with a phone?
appreciate it. My fantasy team appreciated it.
Yeah?
Thank you, Tommy.
No, you're a Tommy
need
Sugars
that.
guy.
Yeah. Tommy Sugar, yeah.
No, it's Tommy Sugars. Singular is stupid.
Why is singular stupid?
It's just stupid. The nickname's better when it has two. It's just the way it
Tommy-
goes. Sugars is better than sugar.
Is it because you want to do? Oh, because you want to do like a domino. Domino
I'm just telling you. No, it's
sugars?
Domino
No.
Sugar. I mean, like I'm just
Yeah, you're
telling
right.
you,
That's
a
why it's-
nickname is better when it's plural. It's better. It's always been better. It's like from Rugrats, Tommy Pickles. It's not Tommy Pickle. That would be stupid. Tommy Pickles. It's better when it's plural. It's always been better.
I like this sign. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that going around. But that's his actual name. It's not even Sugar. So
Yeah, but it's still good.
somebody did it as Tommy.
It's still good.
Sugar. Somebody did that. Yesterday was a weird one. Really, it was a very weird game.
Why? Because they beat a lefty.
Yeah, that was definitely weird. No question about that. There's the Angels tossing the ball around and allowing a walk to turn into more or less a Little League home run. There was a lot of weird yesterday. Zach Eflin was certainly good enough in his return to the rotation, even though it didn't look like it was going to be that way in the first inning. You were like, oh, no. But he settled down. A few people were angry that I didn't make a man of the match. He allowed 7 base runners over 5 innings. It didn't demand him being man of the match. He
It
could
was
have
like,
been.
What, like 85 pitches in 5 innings?
Yeah,
Like, that was...
Perhaps he could have gone a 6th, and who knows what would
come
happen.
back
But his
from injury,
first start
but yeah.
back, it made all the sense in the world to stop him after 5. I'm not.
Yeah, my
Set.
point being, yeah, he wasn't crazy efficient. Like,
No, he wasn't. He was fine. He was good enough. I would like to hope that
it was
we'll
a
see-
reminder that, Zach Eflin can be Zach Eflin.
Yeah, I would like to hope that moving forward he'll be Zach Eflin. This is just his first start back, and again against a bad team. Let's be fair about that. So who do you choose? I mean, Cedric Mullins finally got some hits. That was nice. It had been a while since we had seen that. Stole a base in there as well. Adley Rutschman, legally speaking, had an RBI triple. Legally speaking.
What do you mean? That was a triple all the way.
Oh, yeah. Ultimately, I know he struck out 3 times, but the turn recently for Gunnar Henderson has been significant in setting the tone with a double yesterday and then adding the 2-run homer that not only barely got out, but the hell was the camera work there? Like, what were we looking at? I still don't know that was a home.
Oh, it was. It landed
Yeah,
over the yellow line.
I'm aware, but like the camera work was so dreadful. Anyway, 2 extra base hits. Gunnar Henderson now with a 17-game on base streak. We like that. First time on the board this season for Gunnar Henderson, and hopefully he's becoming Gunnar Henderson once again. And if he is, then that would be very good news for the Orioles' chances. So 2 on the board for the weekend, Tomo Sagano and Gunnar Henderson, and we delay pulling down the board at least for now. At least for now, we won't rip the board down off the wall, so there's that. I don't want to overreact to anything from the weekend. Hopefully the Orioles have 2, maybe 2.5, if Dean Kramer can continue to pitch like this. Although, again, we've got enough of a track record on Dean Kramer to know better than to assume that he's just definitively going to be a guy moving forward.
This is May Dean Kramer. We can trust May Dean
Sure.
Kramer.
Right now, you would say the Orioles have 2.5 starters. That's better than they had. The Kyle Gibson experiment is not working out whatsoever. We'll get back to that. Certainly not going to go back to Charlie Morton. You got a hole there. And Cade Povich is more bad than good at this point. 2.5 starting pitchers is not really going to get the job done, but it's better than having 1 starting pitcher, which is what the Orioles have had basically through the season. They had 1 with Zach Eflin, then he got hurt, and suddenly they had 1 with Tomo Sagano. but they have never had more than one starting pitcher this season. So hopefully that's the first positive sign, is that they finally have more than one starting pitcher. Offensively, like Saturday night, they were lifeless again. Utterly and completely lifeless. Nothing to offer. No reason to think that they were going to get things going. When they fell behind, was it 3-0? The game was over. There was just, you could go to bed, watch Walton Goggins, whatever you wanted to do, because there was no point to continuing to watch the baseball game. That, I have no idea how that changes, because good teams have games like that, but the Orioles haven't been a good team. It was a weekend. In that way, it's kind of boring, right? Like, it's, I guess, fun that they won 2 out of 3, but I feel like we all just kind of want an answer one way or the other. That's what you're really looking for. You either want to know that things are turning around, or you want there to be changes. Not that change is a guarantee to turn things around. You would, of course, prefer that they'd be turning things around. The problem with that is you can't learn that from one series against the Angels where you happen to win 2 out of 3. And even yesterday, it was just such a weird game, man. Like, it was just, what a strange day. Angels running into and out for fun. My God. We'll see. And that's really all I can say is we'll see. You can hope for the best. I don't have strong takeaways from this weekend. Nor do I think should we. There's also part of the problem is when you're like, well, okay, so now you've solved this with Zach Eflin coming back. What's next? And the what's next doesn't appear to be anywhere anytime soon. Like, what's next is those two dudes better damn well continue to be brilliant, and Dean Kramer better be at least the better version of Dean Kramer. Because there's absolutely nothing that suggests that there's no one that's close that you could turn to from the minor leagues. There's no reason to think you're making a bold trade for a starting pitcher. It's questionable as to whether or not this team should be looking to acquire at all. Like, the path for turning things around must be Zach Eflin, Tomo Sagano, a better version of Dean Kramer. Because there's just no way to think that it's coming from anyone else that you have. The next, like, okay, good to have Zach Eflin back. I guess good to have Tyler O'Neill back. I hope good to have Tyler O'Neill back. It remains to be seen if it's good to have Tyler O'Neill back. You know, God bless Emmanuel Rivera for... Let's just do 3 up and 3 down. Let's just do it because we're talking about these guys. Let's just do it.
And we're going to do...
Gonna have to reorganize somehow. Yeah, right. This is not gonna work. We got to come up with a better plan.
3 up.
And 3 down.
Yeah, just had it all along. Yeah, 3 up and 3 down for the week. The Orioles went 2 and 4. Like, we're having fun talking about a series win, but for the week it was still a bad week. That's just the reality of the circumstances. We'll guess start with the 3 down. That's what we decided.
I think so. I think that's what we've been doing.
Tear down to build up. I think that's the concept. So begin 3 down, and I would say that I probably deserve to be higher on the list. Part of it is just because I'm so grateful for his existence as a human being, and because he had a couple of hits yesterday that mitigated how miserable the week truly was. I made Cedric Mullins 3rd on my down list, but my God, it was a terrible week. And those were his only 2 hits of the week, but at least he got them and, stealing bases. That's it. He looked like Cedric Mullins yesterday, which was pleasant to see. Unfortunately, the week is not one day. Cedric Mullins is my number 3.
Yeah, I ended up having to put him a little bit higher on the list just because of, same. I was trying to find a way to keep him off the list altogether, but that was just impossible. So I had him higher on the list. Adley made my list.
He's my number 2.
And because of kind of the similar reasons you put together with Cedric, he had,
See, that's different.
A baseball game yesterday.
Yeah, he didn't. He didn't.
He had a triple.
He was gifted something that he didn't deserve. I disagree. That's why Adley ended up being higher on my list. He didn't.
Adley didn't strike out as much as Cedric. That's why I had him a little bit.
Okay, sure. Go with that.
Adley was 3.
Adley's number 2. Slashed 136, 174, 227 while being gifted a triple. Like, that's with the gift. Those were his slash lines.
Yeah.
It's an unmitigated disaster. And it's worse, he's not throwing anyone out at all. Rita had me look it up the other night when we were doing that show. You know, he's thrown 1 base runner out.
That's more than me.
That's true. That's a good point. 1 more than you. I mean, it's awful. I hate it, but it's awful. Adley's number 2.
I had Cedric as my number 1. I went Kyle Gibson at number 2.
Kyle Gibson's number 1. Yeah, he offers nothing.
No, yeah, he did.
That's with respect.
That's the
Cedric at least did have 2 hits. If he hadn't had those 2 hits, I'd agree with you. But he at least had them. Kyle Gibson offers nothing. Bummed, nice guy. Really like Kyle Gibson, the guy.
Maybe the next one is that's the one.
We can say all we want about, well, this is why you need a spring train. Like, none of it works, right? If the answer is you needed a spring training, then you needed to sign a guy before spring training. Guys get hurt. Like, that. This is everyone deserves blame in this process. You need to come to spring training with 9 to 10 major league pitchers. If there's at all a risk that you could end up needing one more, then you need to make sure you have them. If that's how important spring training is, that a month into the season, a guy still can't be ready. Month now, you can say a month plus, but he got up here about a month into the season. Not helpful. Not remotely helpful. Just dreadful. Dreadful. Kyle Gibson's number 1. On the up list, Emmanuel Rivera is number 3 for me. 7 for 18 with a pair of doubles. Doesn't really walk. Like, that's the only knock. He's a hitter. And God love him. They have 1 third baseman on the roster right now. They don't have anybody else that can even play third base. We were talking about the other night on the broadcast. Like, I guess Jorge Mateo is the backup third baseman. No, thank you. Like, it's just they have 1. They're carrying 1 third baseman. Thankfully, for the moment, he's been helpful. So there does become a real question as to, like, when the next guy comes back, when Jordan Westberg comes back, who goes? I mean, I get it. There could be injuries between now and then because Emmanuel Rivera has been a helpful piece. Now, that could change next week, but for now, Emmanuel Rivera is number 3.
Yeah, it was. This one was tough because I didn't want to factor in the fact that they didn't win the game on Thursday, but Dean was very, very good on Thursday again, especially when you're expecting not a whole lot.
He was. I just thought there were 3 better candidates.
But yeah, so I ended up defaulting back to Emmanuel Rivera as well as my number 3 on the up this week. Yeah, I mean, seems like all he does is hit, which is not many other guys on the team have done that this year. So yeah.
Mentioned it earlier, Gunner's on a 17-game on-base streak. He's starting to look pretty Gunnar Henderson-y again, and if that's the case, that goes a long way for this baseball team. He OPS 973 for the week. Obviously, I mentioned what he did yesterday. Gunnar Henderson is number 2.
Yes, he is. Correct. You got that one right.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Good job.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. He's,
and then, again, he's right there. Tomo Sagano's number 1.
Look at that. He went 3 for 3 this time.
In the 8th inning of a baseball game, an Orioles starter in the 8th inning of a baseball game? Did they have to give him a map to get out there?
When do we give Elias credit for this one?
We can give Elias. You can absolutely. It's like giving Elias credit for Zach Eflin last year. Like the notion that Mike Elias is a bumbling buffoon, the way that some particularly loud and obnoxious people on Twitter and the world want it, is nonsense.
Stan comes in every Friday, right? You don't have to talk about it like that.
Yeah. It's nonsense. It's not that Mike Elias is incapable. It's that he hasn't met the moment. There's a fair way to describe the Mike Elias problem. It's that the moment has required aggression, and instead it's been met with kind of the same moves that he might have made. Like, Tomo Sagano is someone he could have signed in 2021. And I'm glad it's working out. But, like, it also, even if it works out all season long, he's here for 1 year. Like, cool. But it's always the people that try to defend the Orioles on social media, their response whenever anybody criticizes like Charlie Morton, they're like, yeah, and he'll be off the books next year. I'm like, right, how does that help?
Well, there won't be a sunk cost in a $41 million pitcher next year.
This is just what we do. Like Thomas Sagano's been great. He's been outstanding. Blessings be. They needed more than that. Like that's the problem. They needed a lot. You can. Ironically, both of the two really solid pitching moves can be measured against two of the worst pitching moves, right?
Yeah.
Like at the trade deadline last year, the best pitching move made maybe in all of baseball was Zach Eflin. Perhaps the worst pitching move made in all of baseball was Trevor Rogers. Like it ends up being a wash. Like literally a 10 and a -10. Not even a 10 and a 0, like a 10 and a, oh my God, I can't believe you did this. And then this offseason, Tomo Sagano's looking like a tremendous move and is measured out by the fact that Charlie Morton looks like a horrifying move. So it all kind of adds up to net 0 for Mike Elias. But it could be worse. He could have only made Morton and not Sagano, I guess. It could have just been a -5. So, yeah, Tomo Sagano's number 1 for the week. That's 3 up and 3 down. We'll get it up at GlennClarkRadio.com a little bit later on. And, again, we'll find out. For the moment, they're just moves that were made. Just games that were won this weekend. Take them. Hope that it's a positive sign. Hope they come home and do dramatically better against a bad Twins team than they did last week.
Well, maybe that Twins team is good now.
Suddenly, maybe they're not a bad
What
Twins
do they
team.
want, 8 in a row?
That's fair.
They're above 500 now, so
they might not be a bad team. You're right about that. I think that's all. I think that's all for the weekend. Was there anything else that mattered?
Man, they got a really good guy in the bullpen too. That Twins team. Man.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. I don't think he's allowed to run all year.
That's weird.
That continued this weekend as well.
That's weird. If only that guy would have been available.
Right.
That would have been neat. Right? You got CNL Perez.
You do like him?
I mean, what do you need? What do you need a Danny?
Got Greg
Coulomb
Soto.
for? Yeah, right. You got the Mr. Anthony, Sir Anthony. You got all those guys. You're good. All right. I don't know what else there's to say. I feel like I had one other thought Orioles related from the weekend, and I've already blanked on.
You're
what
back
it
in,
was.
yeah.
No, I'm not really back in as much as I just hadn't checked out yet. Plenty of people have. I am not yet one of the people. I mean, I was up on Saturday night, got back from our anniversary dinner, and I was watching the game.
Happy anniversary, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We've worked very hard for 11 years. My God, do we work hard.
What did you guys do Saturday night?
We went out to dinner. We had a very nice dinner.
we're not gonna say any. Okay.
They don't spend money with
Okay,
us,
got
and
it,
I
got
spent lots of money with them. Oh, couldn't have spent more money.
I feel like I can guess now.
Oh my God, did I spend money?
Knowing where she likes to go. Yeah.
Well, it was a new place we'd never
really?
been before.
Okay.
Went out in Harbor East
Mm.
on Saturday nights. Pulled up to the Circle. We had a 7:00 reservation. We were in the Circle at 6:45. We weren't out of the Circle until 7:05. I don't know what was going on in Harbor East on Saturday night. Holy hell! Oh my God, it was nuts.
I think they heard Glenn Clark was going to make an appearance.
Apparently, I guess we might have had dinner where Henry Winkler was staying last night. I saw a picture that he shared. I was like, it's not
just
a very
there.
dissimilar view to the view that we had. But yeah, we had a lovely weekend, and I'm still with them. Still with them for now. We'll see. We come back in. Our buddy Steve Johnson's going to join us, former Orioles starter. We'll see what he thinks about whether or not maybe this could be the weekend that perhaps things start to turn the corner. I mean, they took 2 out of 3 from the Yankees at home. I have no idea why we would think this was better than that. But, whatever, man. We're just going to hope. We'll talk to Steve Johnson about it when we come back in. It is a Monday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Something big is coming to Maryland, but it's more than what you think. Because this year, it's more than a race. It's the Preakness Festival 150. And if there's one event you don't want to miss, it's the Magic of Maryland music celebration with DJ D-Nice, Club Quarantine 5 Live, BSO alongside conductor Igmar Thomas, special performances by Deborah Cox, Jadakiss, Too Short, and more. Tickets are limited. Find them and see all other events free and ticketed at PreaknessFestival.com.
What makes the Costas Inn so special? This is Stan the Fan telling you that it's the people that work for you, cooking and serving. But that menu is also special with a capital S. Soups, salads, the raw bar, pasta dishes, seafood specialties, and entrees like the Costas combos, steaks, chops, ribs, amazingly delicious meatloaf, and all manner of delicious spilling sandwiches, including pit beef and turkey and subs. Of course, the steamed crabs are as good as you can get anywhere, and they serve them 12 months a year. The crab cakes are out of this world. Costas is open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner at 4100 North Point Boulevard, and coming soon, very soon, Costas in Timonium at the OTB Parlor at Timonium Racecourse. We'll get you the opening date real soon.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4, available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and on the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the long road back from Tommy John surgery for Orioles closer Felix Bautista, as well as Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells. Also inside, we learn more about new Maryland basketball coach Buzz Williams from the players who have played for him at other stops. Plus, evaluators around baseball chime in on Orioles top prospect Samuel Basayo. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Monday edition of the program. They gave out some IAAM championships over the weekend. Getting ready for the semifinals tomorrow night in the MIAA lacrosse playoffs. And if you want to find out more about those championships and the postseason action, the place to find it is at County Sports Zone. CountySports.zone. It's proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Get over there. Find the schedule for the week. CountySports.zone. Proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Speaking of the MIAA, of course, our next guest once upon a time was at St. Paul's. Then ended up the Baltimore Orioles. Now he's trying to make better baseball players. He's our friend Steve Johnson, and he's back with us now here on GCR. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Doing well. How you doing?
I'm all right. You worried about the Capitals?
We'll see. They alternate a couple times, and then they just got to win 2 in a row once.
Yeah, but I never know. I feel like most Capitals fans I know are like people that deal with the existential dread. Like they just assume that the wheels are always going to fall off. You're not one of them.
I mean, I don't know. They're Jekyll and Hyde sometimes, but I don't know. They seem to gotten it done this year so far. Further than I thought they'd be this year. So kind of we'll take all we can get.
All right. I'll get that. Hey, first of all, before we get into the Orioles, I need to tell everyone, because whenever you're on with us, we always talk about what you're doing up in Bel Air. Mm-hmm. What I have learned most about Steve and being around as he's been training my son, my God, this man is patient. Holy hell. This man has so much more patience than I do when I attempt to coach my own son. I just don't have it in me. This guy will put up. My brother-in-law gave up yesterday. We were hanging out for Mother's Day. We were playing, and he just bailed. He just said, I tried, man. I can't do it. It's too much. Steve has this unbelievable patience for dealing with young baseball players. I have no idea where it came from for you, but it is a marvel to watch, my friend.
I mean, you have to kind of you deal with a whole bunch of different kids, and they all have different learning abilities and attention spans. So you're just trying to get the most out of each kid, and sometimes, sometimes it's tougher.
It's a challenge.
But when you kind of see, or like when you're able to reach kind of and see what they're able to accomplish when they actually do put a few minutes of listening, then they can kind of learn a lot. So it's worth it when you get to it, but it is sometimes tough to manage.
A few minutes, maybe in like some kids' situations, a couple of seconds. Like maybe he heard the last thing you said. Maybe.
Exactly.
Maybe that's the case. Hey, Steve, what impresses you most about Tomo Sagano?
I think just his ability to pitch. He gets the job done. He's been out there. I think he's, for the most part, been one of the most consistent pitchers, and he has a good mix of everything. Not afraid to throw things behind in the count, kind of keeping the hitters guessing. So, which is nice to see. And I think that everyone was looking for some sort of veteran for this squad, and I think it was not the one that they were thinking of. But he's been that guy for the team, at least going forward. That steady guy.
Obviously doing it without the velocity. Do you believe that this can continue this season, or do you worry that like at some point major league hitters are going to catch up to it? You're certainly a guy who knows a thing or two about getting the job done without like the highest velocity.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, obviously you see guys with velocity and see what they're doing right now. It's not a guarantee. So these guys can turn on anything. I think when you have a good mix of being able to throw almost anything you want in any count, and that goes a long way. And I think that keeps hitters off balance more than obviously having high velocity always helps. It's never going to not help. But when you have the ability to rely on it, and you don't need to necessarily be great at mixing pitches all the time, I think that can hurt you, over the long haul when you don't have your best stuff that day, or when they're on a fastball that day. It's like, oh crap, I need that other pitch now, and you haven't had to throw it. So I think when you are a guy that can mix it and you don't necessarily need to rely on velocity, he's still throwing it in there pretty good. It's just not, what everyone's, I guess, used to seeing nowadays.
Let me ask about a couple other guys. How do you make sense of Dean Kramer, who has never pitched well in April, and then turns around and looks unhittable in a couple of starts after that? Like, can you explain why it might take for a certain amount of time for somebody to figure out who they are? And I certainly don't know that now. I assume that Dean Kramer is like definitively a top of the rotation guy for the rest of the year, but it's just wild to me how it always seems to flip for him when you get to May.
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty consistent that way for, I think we talked about it the other day, where he's a slow starter. I mean, and hitters do that too. I think when you talk about someone like Santander, when the last few years when he's a slow starter, and then he starts turning it up. And I don't know necessarily why that is with certain guys, whether it's pitching or hitting, but maybe it's just trying to get in the groove, finding what works. Maybe spring training doesn't necessarily get all that rust off through the off season, and then finally you pick it up and find a groove. And some guys just take advantage of that groove that they find, and it's not always right there right away. It's the same thing when guys struggle in the first inning or the second inning, and then all of a sudden in the third and fourth and fifth they cruise. It's like, well, why aren't you able to be good from the start? It's like, well, sometimes you just don't know what you have that day, and I guess that works for the full season as well.
I guess, man. I guess that's the case. I hope that's going to be the case for Dean Kramer moving forward. And then what about the two guys at the back end? Kyle Gibson, it's been a mess through 2 starts. Yes, I get it. It's 2 starts. He didn't have a spring training, but, I mean, he's also a guy that's been doing this for a really long time. And like Charlie Morton, I just don't see anything that suggests he can still be part of a solution. What do you make of those two guys? And is there any hope for either of them to be helpful at some point this year?
Yeah, it's tough. I don't necessarily think that they're relying on them to be their former selves. I think that the whole rotation is in a bind because of the injuries and the guys who were supposed to be there aren't available, and that goes not only for the guys who are definitely supposed to be there, but for the other options that they've had in the past who were able to fill in. They're also hurt. So you basically just need those guys to give the team a chance. And I know, that looks different with how the offense has been recently. Where in the past, I think, even just last year, if they were doing the same thing, I think the results would be different just because the team was hitting a little bit better. So it was able to make up for maybe some of these not as great performances from the pitching. But I think they're there to eat innings and kind of they're trying to fill the spot until, someone else is ready and hopefully, see a start or two, maybe find a groove. I mean, they're veterans. They might, again, not be their former selves, but they still know, how to pitch in a way and, hopefully find a nice groove and be able to stick with it. And they know their role right now. So you just hope to get, a couple good outings in a row and hopefully that can lead to some good stuff now that the hitting's starting to heat up just a little bit.
Let's talk about that. Steve Johnson is with us here on GCR. To your point, and look, I acknowledge this weekend they face the Angels. The Angels are very bad, but there are some positive signs. Obviously, Gunnar Henderson looks a little bit more Gunnar Henderson-y. We're starting to see the Jackson Holiday that we thought we were going to see immediately a year ago. I recognize he's a very young man. There is still plenty of time for him to be that player. Even Ryan Mountcastle has started to hit the ball a little bit, which is nice because I think a lot of us were starting to wonder if Ryan Mountcastle's roster spot could even be justified. Do you believe that we're starting to see the signs of this offense being – and I think that was the one thing when you and I reference our personal conversations a lot on this show, Steve, because it's good fodder. But, I know that you have been frustrated about the fact that, the offense has been, has really let this team down. But when everybody would bring up, hey, I'm more concerned about the offense than the pitching, I would say back, yes, but I think the offense can turn. I think there's reason to believe that you can get something better than what you're getting. Are you starting to think that maybe we're reaching that moment?
I think so. And, the reason I was more hard on the hitting was because they didn't have the full excuse of the injury bug that had really hit the pitching. And that's kind of where the pitching had been kind of struggling, was that they just had no relief. And that goes for bullpen and starting. But for the hitters, they were struggling. I mean, and I think that sometimes you can say, oh, they faced, a lesser team in the Angels or whatever, but it's like sometimes you need some of those teams to help get guys a little bit hotter, to get the confidence up and then have them, roll from there. And a lot of guys have been hitting a lot better, and it takes, a couple guys hitting better, and maybe that makes the pitching, you end up trying to not pitch around them, but you give, more good pitches to guys who are struggling because you don't want to face the guys that are hotter, which then gives the guys who are struggling better pitches to hit. And, that's really how that works. And I think, going forward, that's a huge deal for them, hopefully to go on a nice little run and be able to make up for some maybe bad pitching outings, which is how it's supposed to work.
I think Ryan Mountcastle said the other night that was the first time he had ever had the batter in front of him walked in order to face him in his life, right? In his life, that had been the case. But you understood the decision in the moment. It's been a struggle. Yeah. Unfortunately, as I list off the names of the guys that are starting to turn, the one that I'm still not saying is the one that it's been prolonged for. And I think a lot of us were hopeful that we could write off the second half of last season for Adley Rutschman and think that it was injury-related. or something along those lines, but it just continues to be bad. What do you make of it at this point? Like, are we at a place where, like, when Samuel Basayo gets here, they got to think about whether or not Adley Rutschman is a catcher at all? Like, what do you do about this?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm sure for Adley, it's one of the first times, obviously last year into this year, that he's ever experienced it, and some guys can handle that differently, where you've struggled this bad for this long, and it could be a little bit of pressing, because of that, and just trying to hopefully get them to settle down over time. It's a long season. You see different guys go through different ruts and different times, and you hope that over the long haul of the season that they end up picking it up. And you'd much rather him at this point be going through this now, and then hopefully pick it up mid-season when everyone else hopefully rolling and they get back into it. So you just maybe hope it's a little bit like a pitch selection thing, or they find something small within, his load or timing, whatever they can find. I'm sure they have gone through every bit, and you don't want to make any huge changes, but sometimes maybe a bigger change is necessary. So you hope just he's able to stay with it and then find that groove that everyone knows he can get into.
Yeah, and I'm not going to attempt to compare you to Adley Rutschman, because in a lot of ways you're almost like the anti-Adley Rutschman, right? Like you didn't get those opportunities. You had to work to earn every single one of them. But we've heard Brandon Hyde and others in this organization talk about the difficulties, and they've been more broad, and they haven't necessarily used Adley's name directly, but I think all of us can read through the tea leaves and understand they're directly talking about Adley Rutschman, and just that, young players who haven't dealt with adversity like this and how difficult it's been for them. Can you, empathize with that at all? Can you understand why it might become prolonged, that someone like Adley Rutschman, who's just been, like Johnny Bench for his entire life and has been great at every turn, might be having more of a difficulty that's perhaps as much mental as it is physical, dealing with these struggles?
I mean, I've talked about this in the past with high pitchers, that, high valued pitchers or highly drafted pitchers. And, I have no idea. I can only imagine how much pressure they've already put on themselves because of the expectation. That's something that I definitely didn't have in terms of, I obviously had high expectations for myself and belief in myself, but in terms of like the baseball world, the expectation for me wasn't, if I did good at all, great. Whereas them, they're supposed to come up and be a guy and be a top player. And that expectation was, I can't imagine what that would feel like, especially when you start to struggle, where everyone's like, hey, you're supposed to be this guy, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that. And I'm sure that it's just magnified by 1,000 times or more, internally, especially when you can't seem to get out of it and you've always been able to. So obviously you're playing against guys who are at the top of their game all over every single day. And they're trying to do the exact same thing. They're trying to perform their best, and they have their own expectations and value so it's got to be super hard for guys who were drafted. Same with Holiday. It's the same thing when he was struggling the other day or the other last year. It cannot be easy to have all that pressure and expectation, and then to not be performing and have to deal with all of the outside noise and try and figure it out at the like everyone else has to. So I definitely feel for those guys to a point because of that. But they're at the same time they've dealt with things like that in the past. They've dealt with all the expectation in the past. So you hope that they just kind of are able to cancel out some of that noise and just go and figure it out eventually.
All right, the most important question we're going to ask today, we saw Gunnar Henderson yesterday rocking the Jack Sparrow hat. He's talked before about his love for Pirates of the Caribbean. That should specifically be for him, right? Like when he hits a home run, he rocks the hat because he's into it. That's not a team celebration, right?
That would be interesting if everyone just had a theme.
Oh, everybody had their own. Oh, I love that.
That would be pretty cool, I think.
I'm down with that.
That'd be a lot of work, but I think that would be, everyone has their own handshakes and stuff, so why not everyone have their own sort of
props.
celebration? I'm down with it. That's as long as it's happening in the dugout and not outside the dugout, like at home plate. I'm fine with it.
I hadn't thought about that. I actually think that's a killer idea, right? Like everybody's got their own costume sort of that they bring. Somebody's going to have to be costume director. I'm available at a price.
Well, there's enough guys, I believe, that could get some.
Oh, but I love it. It gets to know, and also it's great for baseball, like the personality thing that we talk about. I know everybody, a lot of people didn't like the Lego shoes that Gunnar wore on the Sunday night game last year. I didn't like them because the Orioles got their brains beaten in that game. But other than that, like they were fun. I love the idea of guys putting more of their own personality out there so that fans can connect with them on a more I love that. I'm all in for this. It's a great idea. All right, buddy. Remind everybody about how you're making better baseball players.
We're out in Bel Air, Optimal Baseball Performance. Just helping kids hopefully get a little bit better and have more fun playing the game.
There's no doubt about that, and it is. I'm not going to pretend like my son is Ken Griffey Jr. That's not the case, but it has helped him. There is no question about that. OptimalBaseball.com for you to find out more. Love you, brother. Appreciate you. We'll talk soon, all right?
All right, have a good one.
Thanks, pal. Steve Johnson, former Orioles pitcher with us here on GCR. That's a great idea. So I was very worried that when they cut to the dugout and Gunnar was walking back this is what I was trying to think of going to break. Then I said, hey, there's one other Orioles topic.
Gotcha.
When they went to the dugout and Gunnar had the hat on, I was like, no, please tell me this doesn't mean they're getting rid of the hydration station. Because remember, the start of the season, there was no hydration station. They were flirting with this fishing thing, and it just wasn't. It was fine. It was fine, but it wasn't the same. So I was very concerned that when they cut and he had the hat on, I was like, oh no. But then he walked over and he and Cedric hit the hydration station while he was wearing the hat. Gunnar has talked before. I believe there were a couple of other guys, the bullpen guys maybe.
That are also
Gunnar,
Pirates
Henderson,
guys? Or
that were Pirates of the Caribbean fans.
Yeah.
That just love,
I mean, who isn't? But
love the movie. Cole Irvin and Dean Kramer apparently were the others. And so we've always seen Gunnar do the Jack Sparrow salute.
Oh, yeah, because Dean Kramer looks like Orlando Bloom. So
yeah, there's something to be said for that. There is something to be Orlando Bloom specifically in those movies because I believe Orlando Bloom in real life has light hair.
I mean, I think he's got short hair, yeah. Or
I think it might be like dirty blonde though. Orlando Bloom. Hang on.
At the moment, he's got short hair. It looks like.
Okay. I don't know what we've seen. No, he definitely doesn't have dirty blonde hair. Maybe there was just one particular role I'm thinking of.
You're looking at a picture of him next to Katy Perry. Is that what?
Is that what it is? Maybe. I don't know.
You swap their hair.
Maybe I'm just thinking of one. Is there a movie where he had dirty blonde hair? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, in whatchamacallit, Lord of the Rings.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was trying to think of. Anyway, so the moral of the story being, this is a thing that's gone on. And I had always forgotten about the salute that he does, like, around second base. It is the Jack Sparrow salute, right? Like, there is a lot of Pirates of the Caribbean with Gunnar Henderson. So for Gunnar Henderson, perfect. Gunnar Henderson hits a home run. Plus, if someone on this team were to be the captain,
Dean Kramer, yeah.
Yes, exactly right, Dean Kramer. It's tough because you would have said Adley Rutschman, right? Like you would have, but the performance part has to matter too. And somebody might say, based on longevity, it should be Cedric, but Cedric's never going to be that guy. Like he's just not the vocal leader. It was like we were talking to Logan McNaney last week about wearing the number 1 for Maryland lacrosse.
Right.
And I joked, I happen to know that there have been some number 1s that barely spoke, and he just Logan Wisnauskas. And that's exactly who I was referring to. Logan Wisnauskas, great lacrosse player. I mean, one of the great players in Maryland history. But the joke that John Tillman said was between he and Jared Bernhardt, they were roommates, and he wondered if they ever spoke to each other. I don't know if there's ever been a word uttered in that room. Ever. So John Tillman said to me. So you can't, Gunnar seems like the logical, if you're going to call somebody the captain.
Right.
gunner would feel like the appropriate choice given his status. So I love this for gunner. I don't think I love the idea of...
You're saying if Ryan O'Hearn starts wearing the hat, you feel like it doesn't...
It feels a little more forced to me. I don't think there's an Orioles Pirates of the Caribbean thing. I think there's a gunner Pirates of the Caribbean thing. And maybe if Dean Kramer has a great start, goes 6, as a quality starter, gets taken out of the game, and they want to give him the hat, I'm down with it. Like, if you're a Pirate... But I love Steve's idea of... We know, Colton loves Star Wars, so maybe there's a... I mean, I don't know that I want to have a light... Give him a lightsaber. What the hell? What are we doing? Have a prop director, man. Put them all down the tunnel and then have somebody whose job it is when someone hits a home run to go get them their prop. I dig it. I think it's cool. I just don't think it should be everybody with the Jack Sparrow hat. That feels like it should be a unique gunner thing. I know this is the hard.
We'll find out tomorrow. Yeah, we'll find out tomorrow night.
Well, yeah, if they hit a home run.
Hopefully we'll find out tomorrow night.
Somebody's got to hit a home run in order for us to find out. And it can't be getting rid. The hydration station thing, while this core is together, look, man, if the wheels fall off this season, then they want to get rid of the hydration station. I understand how superstition works. I've talked about taking down this board, right? I get it.
Nice. Looks like the Orioles are going to miss Pablo Lopez. I was like,
that's good.
Yeah.
They got that going for him, which is nice. Who's scheduled to pitch this week?
Simeon Woods Richardson.
Okay. They struggled against him.
They did. Bailey Ober.
Okay.
Struggled against him.
Yeah.
And then Chris Paddock on Thursday.
All right. I mean, we'll see.
They're not Pablo Lopez.
They're not Pablo Lopez. You are right about that. Legally speaking, they are not Pablo Lopez. I just like it better as a gunner thing than I do as an Orioles thing. And the hydration station has to stay. And not just because I ordered one for my pig roast this summer. Not just because of that, although...
Just got to last until August.
That's not nothing. I'm not saying it's irrelevant in the conversation, but it is bigger than that, which is just something that...
They're gonna go on a Rockies-like run here. They're gonna be 20 and 55, and you're gonna be like, they can't get rid of the hydration station.
Why would you put that evil into the world? Why would you do that?
Well, because it's not gonna happen.
I hope not.
It's not gonna happen.
I hope not.
I'll say it right now that the Orioles will not be 20 and 55 at some point this season.
I hope you're right. There were a couple other things from this morning. Thank God the Cowboys are going to play in the NFL opener. That's exactly.
I mean, that looks like the worst opening night game that I can remember.
It's the most NBA. Well, I don't know. When they announced the Lions, you were like, I know what you think you're doing here, and ultimately they were right.
Yeah, but ball knowers knew.
But they weren't right in the moment. They weren't. It was not excitement around the league about the Lions. It was exactly what you're saying is a lot of us, because the Lions obviously had a good second half of the season, and given the young talent they had, there were a lot of us that believed that they were going to be on the come. But when the game was announced, given what it could have been, given all of the opponents that the Chiefs had for that year.
The Lions were in Hard Knocks too. I feel like that was leading into that game. I think
were they on Hard Knocks the year?
Was that the year before, or was that the year? I can't remember what year.
I thought they were on Dan Campbell's first year.
Because this would have been the Lions Chiefs was 2023, right?
That sounds right. 2 years ago. Yes, I think that's correct. And the year before that, remember, they got off to a miserable start,
right.
But then they had turned the corner in the second half. And it's why a lot of us...
Yeah, it was the year prior.
Yes,
so
they were on
when they
Hard
wore
Knocks.
the miserable start, and then they turned it around.
Correct.
They were on Hard Knocks that year.
But this is not... But this is what the networks... They will always, always, always default to the Cowboys and New York. It's what they do. They're going to stick a giant... No one wants to see the Giants. But deal with it. They're going to put it on there. And it's... I have asked... it's funny because I pointed out that the ratings don't bear out. It's always... within sports television, there's this belief that, well, at least you get the biggest market, right? And if you have the biggest market, then you're guaranteed to have a floor for ratings. But if you go actually look at ratings, there is no correlation between biggest in the NFL specifically between biggest markets and most successful games. It just doesn't work out that way. Kansas City is not a big market, and yet they get all of the CBS 425 games because the country wants to watch Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
Yeah, so when the Eagles won it last time, they opened up against Atlanta in the.
Yeah, I don't remember being excited about that.
Yeah, but I mean, like that, I don't know. That was
yes,
but like so that was
yes. Obviously,
they went to Philly and Atlanta.
Truth be told, this year we would have all wanted it to be Washington,
yeah, exactly.
right? Like that's what we would have wanted. Give us Jaden Daniels versus Jalen Hurts,
Even the
NFC
Rams,
Championship
right?
rematch. Yeah, we would have. I mean, we would have.
Yeah,
but we're kind of like we like the. Look, it's like betting on a Major League Baseball game. You're really betting on starting pitchers. Excitement level for an NFL game is completely tied to the quarterbacks. Like that's just the nature of the beast. Mm-hmm. And Jaden Daniels, the hot shot, the potential division rivalry between those two guys for years to come. That's the game the country would have wanted most. It's got to be the Eagles. Okay, then give us Jaden Daniels versus the Eagles. Give us that to open up the season, and we're down. Last year, you got Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. Chef's kiss. Give us Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels. And it's not that Dak Prescott sucks. It's just that he's clearly in that next group of guys, whereas we think Jaden Daniels might be climbing into the first group of guys when it comes to quarterbacks. Yeah, it's a dud.
If they don't make that George Pickens trade, they're probably not the Cowboys in this
I don't think that's the case at all. I don't think that has
like,
anything to do with it.
Everybody's very eager to see George Pickens.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
Probably the Cowboys debut.
So, yeah, that one was announced today. There'll be more games trickling out between now and Wednesday night when they announce the full NFL schedule, all the various.
We'll know the full schedule by Wednesday night is when they're announced?
Wednesday night is the full
so
schedule
we'll know the
release.
Full schedule by sometime tomorrow, yeah.
I mean, we'll know all the every morning show gets to announce a game, I guess, over the course of the next couple of days. That's the way that it works. And then I feel like there was something else. There were 8, but okay, between Division I men, Division I women, and Division III men, there were 8 teams from the state of Maryland playing in the NCAA tournament this weekend. How many are left?
You're going to make me say it out loud. Not Towson.
Maryland
won.
Eek, not Towson.
Salisbury went down, so.
Salisbury did go down. They lost to Dickinson in overtime.
Wow.
That was a true stunner. Like,
was Dickinson even supposed to win their first round matchup?
They had to go to overtime to win the first round game against Denison. I mean, Dickinson lost at home to Stevenson this year. Like, I did that game. Well, it was wild.
Yeah, Stevenson lost, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay, so 8 were in it, and now how many are left, you're asking?
Yes.
I feel like you would ask this if it was good, but I can only think of teams that lost. Both the men and women.
Yes.
Of Maryland.
Yeah, I don't know the D3 women. I think the Salisbury women were in. I don't know who else might have been in.
Their bracket's also larger, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. I'll go 3.
How about 1? 1.
Man.
1. Maryland women lost. Maryland women gave up a game-tying goal to Penn with 2 seconds left in regulation last night or yesterday afternoon. Happened to be watching that game. They got the ball back. All they had to do was clear it. They turned it over.
Man.
Penn tied it up with 2 seconds left and won in overtime, which is kind of similar to on the opposite way. Harvard-Syracuse was wild last night. Syracuse was down by like 5.
Were they really?
They went on a 6-0 run, took the lead.
All I saw was they won.
Had the ball man up with a minute left.
Jeez.
Harvard sat back. It was 30-second penalty. Allowed the penalty to run up. Didn't even attempt to play defense. Then brought the goalie out and defended and got the ball back with 20 seconds left. Got downfield and scored with 3 seconds left in order to tie the game and force overtime. And then you were like, well,
now they have.
You did this. You're probably going to. Nope. They lost in overtime. So Syracuse survived on a wild weekend. But, yeah, the Maryland women lost. The Hopkins women got pantsed at home by Princeton yesterday. Speaking of Towson got trounced by Princeton. The Hopkins women got trounced by Princeton. Loyola and Navy women. Yeah, it was just a rough weekend. So the Maryland men are all that's left. They will play in Annapolis against Georgetown on Sunday. So that should be a good one. 2:30 Sunday afternoon. As that's it for local. It's rough scene. We come back in. We're going to meet one of the newest Baltimore Ravens, Aeneas Fub Peebles, joins us when we return. It is a Monday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Baltimore's Classic 5 golf courses make golf fun and affordable. All 5 local courses, Pine Ridge, Mount Pleasant, Forest Park, Carroll Park, and Clifton Park, are challenging and fun for players of all skill levels. Book your tee time today at classic5golf.com.
Discover luxury without limits at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. This April, unlock a world of high-fashion delights and exclusive style. Earn entries daily starting April 1st and join our drawing on Friday, April 25th. 19 will win up to $2,000 in cash and free play. And one grand prize winner will take home a curated Versace homeware collection. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Something big is coming to Maryland, but it's more than what you think. Because this year, it's more than a race. It's the Preakness Festival 150. And if there's one event you don't want to miss, it's the Magic of Maryland Music Celebration with DJ D-Nice, Club Quarantine 5 Live, BSO alongside conductor Igmar Thomas, special performances by Deborah Cox, Jadakiss, Too Short, and more. Tickets are limited. Find them and see all other events free and ticketed at PreaknessFestival.com.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and on the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the long road back from Tommy John surgery for Orioles closer Felix Bautista, as well as Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells. Also inside, we learn more about new Maryland basketball coach Buzz Williams from the players who have played for him at other stops. Plus, evaluators around baseball chime in on Orioles top prospect Samuel Basayo. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com. where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
Here on GCR to continue along on a Monday edition of the program. They really weren't. I mean, the Eagles actually also host the Lions next year, so that could have been a decent NFL kickoff game, although I guess they just did the Lions a couple years ago, so maybe they don't want to do them again.
What the Chiefs had to multiple years in a row.
Whatever. All I know is it shouldn't have been the Cowboys. That's the only thing I can tell you. Yes, I would have preferred.
I'm trying to think of like
if you had to list those games out, Commanders to me is number 1. Lions probably 2, Rams 3 of those choices would be my guess, and then maybe hang on.
You're pulling up their. You're looking at all their home
opponents
games.
Are Dallas, New York, Washington, Chicago. Although I don't know, I'm a team that'll never be. I will never be able to give up on the Bears. I have believe the Bears are going to turn.
I'm trying to think. What was the worst? I'm trying to think in recent.
The Broncos.
What was it? Why did the Packers and Bears open up the season? What was that 2019?
What?
Yeah.
The Packers and Bears opened.
What was that? Was that 20? That was 2019, I think.
What?
2019, because
they didn't win a Super Bowl. Why would that? The last time that there was a non-Super Bowl winner to open the season was the Ravens debacle. But they were still in the opener.
It was Packers, Bears. I don't know why.
What?
Because that would have been the Patriots won that year. Won the year before? No. 2019 was the Chiefs. The Chiefs won in 2019. Maybe
right.
The Royals or something were playing, and they
maybe. That is super weird.
But yeah, that was I remember not being, not much hype. I mean, still the NFL season, the NFL opener, so it was what it was. But That game ended up being like boring as.
I don't remember that.
Extremely boring
I have
as well.
no recollection of that.
Well, because I remember sitting down and watching it. We're like, all right, NFL's back.
It clearly
and the game,
happened. I do have it.
The game sucked.
It clearly happened.
And it was.
I've got nothing, man. Like, it makes no sense to me whatsoever that was ever a thing. All right, whatever. It's gonna be Eagles Cowboys, man. Nothing we can do about it. We had to do this.
Maybe they're gonna say, "Hey, we're just joshing you."
And yeah, right. There's a real game.
Yeah, it's gonna be Commanders.
We're giving you an
Eagles.
actual game. No, I don't think that's the case. Had to do this earlier because of his schedule, but an opportunity to catch up with one of the newest members of the Baltimore Ravens, Fub Peebles, right here on GCR.
On different teams, and
that's not it. That's not it. I'm sure we can do this better.
Ready?
Sure. Well, we continue to meet the members of the Baltimore Ravens draft class and the newest players, and joining us now here on GCR, he is a defensive lineman out of Virginia Tech. He is Ravens' 6th-round pick, Aeneas Peebles, and he is with us here. Thank you so much for taking the time, and congratulations.
Man, I appreciate you.
Hey, first of all, let me get it out of the way, right? Because we were talking about it before you and I were on the air. Where did Fub come from? And like, if someone's a friend of yours, do they call you Aeneas or do they call you Fub?
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, I mean, well, first I'll start where it came from. So, you know, growing up, I was a fat and chubby baby. So, you know, my parents just named me Fubby. So, you know, the nickname Fubby stuck around for a while. And then, you know, as I got older, it just got shortened to Fub, as all nicknames do. And, you know, just from there, it just stuck, you know, everybody I know close to me, always calls me Fub, you know. Like I said, I rarely give my government name, and, you know, unless I'm in, like, you know, formal business meetings or, you know, something formal. But, you know, everyone around me and in my circle, you know, they know me as Fub.
All right. Well, then we might go with Fub if that's all right. If that's okay.
Yeah, man. That's fine.
Fub, being able to be a part of it. I wonder how quickly, right, like the disappointment of falling a little bit in the draft goes away when you get the call. It's the Ravens. When you show up, when you put the jersey on, when you like realize you're here. I'm sure you'll always have a little bit of that chip on your shoulder. But what's the line between, man, I wish it would have been in the 3rd round or a little bit earlier than that versus, it doesn't matter. I'm here now.
Yeah. Well, you know, my camp and, you know, the people around me always just reassured me that it really doesn't matter. You know, the only thing that the draft does is, you know, put you on different teams, and all it does is give you the money up front, you know. And at the end of the day, that's not really what matters. You know, that's not really the money that's going to stick around, or that's not the thing that's going to stick around with you the longest. You know, it's going to be when you string together a couple of years and sign that second contract and, you know, and win those Super Bowls. So, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I just always kept faith in God, and then, you know, just belief in myself and my camp that, you know, the draft really isn't for that. You know, it's to put players in the right places, and, you know, hopefully they can string together good careers.
How much?
You know, so.
Are you aware of like the Ravens' history with guys that were drafted low or even undrafted guys? Like, I think there's maybe some irony. Michael Pierce retired at the end of last season, someone we were really close with, and he was undrafted and yet carved out a decade-long career starting and ending in Baltimore. Like, are you aware of that, and does that give you, you know, maybe some hope that, like, hey, it doesn't matter where I was picked. This is the franchise that knows if you're talented, you're going to be on the field.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, like you said, with Baltimore's history of, you know, the lower round picks, and, you know, what they've done with undrafted guys, you know, that just really speaks to Eric DeCosta and, you know, that whole, you know, program, and the Baltimore Ravens, just whole, you know, culture. You know, they just know what they're doing. They're not just making picks just to make picks. They have a plan for their guys, you know. And, you know, I'm just thankful that, you know, to be a part of a program that I think has a plan for me.
That's awesome, man. He is Fub Peebles, and he is with us here on GCR. Fub, your family history, I think a lot of people become aware of it, right? Like, your grandfather played in the NFL. Your dad was also a football player, correct?
Yes, sir.
Was it always football for you? Like, did you always know that was the path? Were there other things that you were interested in? Like, what was your own thought process?
Yeah, growing up, you know, I played a lot of different sports, you know, whether that's basketball, baseball, you know, football also. But, yeah, I would definitely say that baseball and football were for sure my 1 and 2 A and B love, you know, for sure. You know, once they started throwing curveballs, though, you know, the baseball kind of dropped off a little bit. But but I'll just say this, they're lucky. Well, they're lucky that it's not just all fastballs, or I might be contemplating playing another sport.
Still pumping balls out of the park. Still at this point, if they were throwing them down the middle of the plate, you're going to turn them around and park them.
No, I mean, no doubt about it, man. It'd be me and Bojack. I mean, no doubt about it.
What was it about football? Was it, like maybe anything that you had learned growing up, or was it just your own like passion? What led you to like finding that love for football that's now carried you into the NFL?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I like to say it's just, the contact and the violence. I kind of, baseball for sure isn't always contact sport, but, I've always just been kind of drawn to sports where, you can really put your hands on somebody, and growing up, football was just that outlet for me. It was just where I found my love and where I found my passion. And, it was one of those things where I didn't have to have anybody pushing me to, want to work at it or want to be great at it. I just loved it.
You end up at Duke and then transfer to Virginia Tech. I guess take me through, like, how did it end up being Duke? Then why did you want to be at Virginia Tech to wrap it up? And how did that maybe help you, at that final jump to getting to the NFL?
Yeah, no doubt. So, coming out of high school, I wasn't really that high of a recruited player. I felt like I was high in the state rankings, but when it came to offers, I wasn't particularly the highest recruit. So, going through the camp circuit and things of that nature, I went to Duke's football camp, and, thankfully I did my thing, and Coach Ben Albert and Coach David Cutcliffe were there, and, they saw something in me, and they saw something great. So, I went there, and I gave it all I had for the first 4 years of my career. I love that place. I love Duke University and everything about it. I have my degree from there. I mean, it's an amazing program. And then in my final year, once Coach Mike Elko departed, and then went a different direction, I decided that it was in my best interest for me to do the same. I went in the transfer portal, and, I fell in love with Virginia Tech as soon as I heard Enter the Sandman. I mean, as soon as I heard it and saw how those guys play the game and that scheme, I mean, I just fell in love with it.
Can we talk about those scenes of Metallica playing at Lane Stadium last week? Like, bro, that was unbelievable, man.
Unbelievable. I mean, I heard it was an earthquake.
The Richter scale shaked, right? Like, that's incredible, man.
Yeah.
Like, that was so cool. You obviously you have an outstanding season at Virginia Tech, right? I'm sure you get sick of hearing people say, dude, if you were only like an inch or two taller, man, you'd definitely be. How much does that frustrate you, your perception as being undersized? And why does it not matter? Why are Ravens fans going to learn that it doesn't matter in terms of what you do on the football field?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I'll definitely just say I didn't know I was undersized until I guess the NFL draft process started.
Yeah, literally around any other human being, I'm sure that you are not undersized.
I mean, I really never thought about it, until I guess this whole draft process started. I just always just felt like at home being on the football field. I never really thought about. I never felt like I was too small to play the game, and I still don't think that way now. Because there's no rulers and there's no measuring sticks on that football field. It's just pads and what you got between your head. I mean, that's about it. So that right there would just drive me every day. There's just the doubt. The doubt that you can't be my size and play the game. Just the doubt, the continuous doubt, man. I mean that's why I play the game every day.
I love that, man. I think that's incredible. We're chatting with Fub Peebles, Aeneas Peebles, if you will, out of Virginia Tech, now Baltimore Ravens defensive tackle. Fub, your pass rush win rate was exceptional, particularly for a defensive tackle. How much do you feel like that maybe is the part of your game that people miss? And I'm not trying to like set the bar at like you're going to be Aaron Donald, although I have no doubt that that's your goal and that's what you intend to do. But like, how much do you feel like people miss that as a defensive lineman, you have the ability to really wreak havoc in the backfield?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the way the NFL is changing. In the older days, you're more used to seeing the premier pass rush guys be edge defenders. Guys like Von Miller and Chandler Jones and those kind of guys. You're more used to seeing those guys be the primary pass rushers, and you're not really well. And as we see, with the current success of the Eagles and their interior pass rush, the game is just changing. You've got to be able to create pressure on the inside, and thankfully, that's one of the things I pride my game off of, being able to get to the quarterback.
I referenced at the beginning, obviously, your family, and I know your grandfather passed away a few years ago, correct?
Yes, sir.
How close were you with him growing up, and And were there things that you learned that you carry with you now as a football player? And what does it mean to kind of, I don't know, continue his legacy a little bit?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, just that underdog mentality. You know, although my grandfather was, you know, a first-round pick, I mean, it wasn't like he played for the University of Alabama or the University of Georgia. I mean, he came out of North Carolina Central High School. College, was the HBCU here in Durham, North Carolina. You know, he was the first-round draft pick ever from that school. So, you know, I mean, just that underdog mentality, it's just kind of been something that's just who my family is, you know. That's just how we operate. We've never been the type of family who, you know, who receive their flowers in the front end. You know, we've never been that kind of family. So I love to continue that, you know. I look for my flowers in the back end, not the front.
I love that, man. I feel like that sort of fits the mentality of what we've known the Baltimore Ravens to be over the years, correct?
No doubt about it.
I mean, it sort of seems like a perfect marriage in that way. There's also the geography thing, right? Like just staying on the East Coast, not terribly far from home. I imagine that, like, maybe you know, like your family wouldn't have minded if it was Carolina, but like they got to be pretty fired up that it's here and that it won't be hard for them to get up and get the games.
Yeah, no doubt about it. My dad was fired up about that part.
I mean, that's cool, man. Like, that's a really cool part of this. What about, you know, I mentioned you being here last weekend, putting on the jersey for the first time. Can you, as much as the phone call is cool, like, can you take me through, like, your emotions the first time you saw the jersey, the first time you put it on? I know it's not a game yet. I know those things will be, but, like, what does that mean to you knowing everything that you've put in to trying to get to this point?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I was filled with emotions, you know, when I first saw that jersey, but it really just takes me back to, you know, when I was a kid, you know, just my first time ever seeing my middle school jersey or my high school jersey, you know, just it always feels like the beginning of a start and then the end of something new, you know. I mean, every time I pick up a new jersey, it feels like the end and the start, you know. That's the best way to describe it, whether, you know, when I held that Ravens jersey in my hand, it was just like this is the beginning of something new, but now it doesn't matter what I did in college anymore. You know, you know, being in college and doing whatever I did, the accolades I had has no bearing on what I do going forward. So, you know, it's a sad but also happy moment to know I'm elevating to the next level, but I also get a fresh slate to start on.
I mean, and obviously with an organization, like, again, I know you would have been excited no matter what, but, like, this is the Ravens that we're talking about, right? Like, this is Lamar Jackson. This is all of those things. Like, I'm sure there are a few guys that ended up in other places that are maybe a little bit jealous of you that this is where you ended up.
No doubt about it.
I mean, that's what we like to hear. Did I see correctly? Yeah. Your degree was in sociology, correct?
Yes, sir.
But you also had some interest in journalism?
No doubt about it. You know, that was my minor with my degree that I got from Duke, sociology and journalism.
Where did that come from, right? Like, why was that something that you were interested in? And you know, we see it all the time now with, like, particularly football players or all sorts of athletes that are kind of venturing into this world. And, you know, please be nice because I'd like to still have a job in a few years. But, like, is that something that you've already thought about a little bit?
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, that's definitely where I wanted to go with my career after I'm finished playing football. You know, I mean, journalism has always been one of those kind of things that I've always been drawn to. You know, I remember being a kid and just listening to the radio in the morning, going to school, and just being so fascinated with, you know, the different radio stations and, you know, loving the just the energy and just the excitement I could feel.
That's cool.
You know, over the radio. You know, that's a skill set that you have to have. You know, so going to Duke, I just felt like I just worked at it, and, you know, I fell in love with it.
You know what drew me? Like, when I was a kid, it was hearing the announcer that would read off. Like, you know, you're a different age, so I'll tell you, I'm in my early 40s. So, like, when I was growing up, we couldn't go to a website to find out if schools were closed. You had to listen to the radio every morning when it snowed to find out if schools were closed. And, like, I wanted badly to be that guy. Like, I just wanted to be the guy that was telling kids that they were going to have off school that day. That was what drove me and got me interested in this thing. It's really cool to hear you say that. Like, if it maybe, could we hook it up that maybe you came over and did, like, a news report or something like that for us?
Man, there's nothing I would love to do more.
Oh, we're gonna talk.
I would love to.
Dude, we are gonna talk about that. That would be an awful lot of fun to pull that off, man. What else? What other interests do you have when you're not playing football? We just want to get to know you a little bit more, man. Like, what makes Peebles go?
Yeah, no doubt about it. Fishing is another one
Cool.
of my passions. My mom is actually a professional fisherwoman.
No.
She started she started the first all black woman fishing team called the Ebony Anglers.
Dude,
So,
how cool is that?
Yeah.
Have you heard about, I don't know, it's been a few years. So the Ravens actually have a little kind of man-made lake at the facility. Did they tell you about that when you were there?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah,
I
saw it.
They used to have legendary fishing tournaments, right? It used to be a big deal. There was a linebacker named Jarrett Johnson who was really good for years, and it was a big part of that. Man, I dig that, dude. That is a really. Are you competitive when are you the type? I would tell you that when I go fish, it's just about the kind of serene nature of it. I'm gonna hang out, have some fun, maybe have a beer. If I catch a fish, cool. If not, my day's still gonna be all right. Are you, because of your mom, more competitive when it comes to fishing?
I definitely will say she definitely sets the standard. I mean, she sets the bar pretty high. She's pretty elite at it. So me and my dad are just constantly trying to reach her in that aspect. We're just always trying to improve to get up to her level. So she's took it and ran with it. A simple pastime that me and my dad had, and she got a hold of it and never looked back. So the competition is within the family for sure.
That's awesome, man. That is so cool. I love that, dude. That's really dope. Fub, I want to remind everybody. So on Twitter, it is at Aeneas, but take the N out and make it a 9, correct?
Yes, sir. AE9, yes.
And then what about on Instagram?
The same thing.
Awesome.
AE9, yes.
Dude,
yes, sir.
Really excited about having you here, and we're going to talk more about trying to have you over here to do some reports for us. I think that would be an awful lot of fun, man.
Please do. Yes, sir.
Fub,
can't wait.
Congratulations on being a Baltimore Raven, man. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning. Looking forward to getting to know you even more as we get closer to the season, all right?
Man, no doubt about it. I appreciate you having me.
That's Fub Peebles out of Virginia Tech, one of the more intriguing prospects. And also we talked about some of their history with linebackers. The Ravens also have quite the history with lower drafted and even undrafted guys, defensive tackles. So there's a great chance there, and perhaps he'll be doing traffic reports for us. That'd be really cool. One thing we didn't get the opportunity to talk about, there was the report last week from Jordan Schultz that before the Cowboys made their move for George Pickens, they had apparently called the Ravens first about Rashad Bateman. The way that Jordan Schultz said it, during their pursuit of a receiver, the Cowboys also looked into a trade for Ravens wide receiver Rashad Bateman. Those talks didn't go far. Understandably so. Why would they go far? I mean, if the Cowboys wanted to overpay for Rashad, they wanted to offer a first and a something like that for Rashad Bateman, then by all means have those conversations. But there's no actual reason for the Ravens to be looking to trade Rashad Bateman. That would be crazy. Imagine, having a position where you have a solution finally, and then being like, yeah, but we'd rather not. And spare me they went out and signed DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins works because he's only supposed to be the third wide receiver. Because there's a reason why everybody else is like, I don't know what to make of the Ravens going out and getting DeAndre Hopkins. Right, because he doesn't need to be DeAndre Hopkins. Because he's their third wide receiver. Because they need him to be Nelson Aguilar. If all of a sudden you trade away Rashad Bateman and you have higher expectations for DeAndre Hopkins, then it becomes problematic. If the answer is, well, they're not going to be able to get such a team-friendly deal on Rashad Bateman the next time, so they should be looking for, how they can maximize value with Rashad Bateman, I'll hear you. But they're still another year away from that. His cap hit in 2026 is still $7.5 million. You're probably in a spot where now next year he might try to hold out or try to force something, if he has another good year this year. We'll see. But this has worked out swimmingly for you. This Rashad Bateman mess and his former agent, screwing up, and him being in the position where he was in, where you were able to give him a very team-friendly deal. It's kind of nuts, the thought of the Ravens trading Rashad Bateman. Like, insane. The Cowboys were willing to get rid of George Pickens because George Pickens is an asshole. Like, let's just be frank about it. To my understanding, talking to some other people around the league, the Steelers were willing to get rid of. The Cowboys were able to trade for George Pickens. From talking to some other folks around the league, the price was never really the problem. The Steelers knew they weren't getting anything for George Pickens.
Third's not too bad, honestly. All things can.
You can say that, except for the argument would be they would have gotten the third-round pick.
Right, as a compensatory pick. That is.
And you would have been able to have
George Pickens for a year.
Right.
Catching balls for me.
So, like, the argument is they actually took less than value just to get rid of George Pickens. But in my understanding, they knew. Like, they weren't trying to bamboozle. I have a buddy who's a big Steelers fan, and I referenced before the draft. I'm like, problem is, if they're going to get a quarterback, they're going to have to do it in the first round because they don't have a second-round pick. And he was like, no, they're going to trade George Pickens to get their second-round pick. And I said, bro, if they could get a second-round pick for George Pickens, that would have been done months ago. They can't. They can't get a second-round pick for the guy. And in that way, and I never even bothered to see.
He said, don't underestimate the con artist.
Yeah, I don't even know what the pick swap part of the trade was. I never even bothered to look last week.
A seventh or something. I mean,
for a what?
Maybe a sixth and a seventh.
And that's not notable.
No, it's not. Like I don't think it was.
Okay. So yeah,
it was just the third-round pick part.
They always knew that they were just going to have to take whatever they could get for George Pickens, but they were willing to do it because they just didn't have any interest in dealing with George Pickens anymore. They were going to live that he could be someone else's problem.
Cowboys also send a fifth. The Steelers send a sixth. So 5 and 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something.
Right.
Like, it's something, but not. It doesn't make all of a sudden doesn't make you say like, well, this is definitely worth. Is that trade-off of one round worth you losing a year of George Pickens?
Apparently.
Well, no, what's worth it is they just didn't want to deal with George Pickens anymore. The Ravens are not in that place with Rashad Bateman. There is no reason for them to trade Rashad Bateman. It would require you having to dramatically overpay. Make an offer where the Ravens said, well, this is crazy. A first-round pick plus for Rashad Bateman? We've got no choice. We have to make that trade. But nobody's going to do that. Like, they say nobody's going to do that. The likelihood of somebody doing that is none. And short of that, the Ravens would have absolutely no reason to trade Rashad Bateman. So nothing about that report was terribly interesting to me. Like, the Cowboys call the Ravens and say, hey, man, what about Bateman? And the Ravens say, what about him? Yeah, we're looking forward to having him on the team next season. They're like, well, what if he wasn't? For what reason? Well, what if we traded for him? And they were like, what?
Can you do your Jerry Jones voice? That would help me understand how this all played out a little bit better.
Well, I can't even do a Jerry Jones. I think we might like to have him on our team. For what? I mean, like.
He'd start asking about, how big, how tall he is, how much he weighs.
What does that young man's butt look like? How about his rear end? God, I mean, I just can't even imagine. Like, what? How do you even respond to that phone call? Like, you've got a good football player on a very favorable contract. No. End of story. We come back in. It's Monday. We'll chat with our buddy Jeremy Conn. That's next. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Discover luxury without limits at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. This April, unlock a world of high-fashion delights and exclusive style. Earn entries daily starting April 1st and join our drawing on Friday, April 25th. 19 will win up to $2,000 in cash and free play. And one grand prize winner will take home a curated Versace homeware collection. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
What makes the Costas Inn so special? This is Stan the Fan telling you that it's the people that work for you, cooking and serving. But that menu is also special with a capital S. Soups, salads, the raw bar, pasta dishes, seafood specialties, and entrees like the Costas combos, steaks, chops, ribs, amazingly delicious meatloaf, and all manner of delicious spilling sandwiches, including pit beef and turkey and subs. Of course, the steamed crabs are as good as you can get anywhere, and they serve them 12 months a year. The crab cakes are out of this world. Costas is open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner at 4100 North Point Boulevard, and coming soon, very soon, Costas in Timonium at the OTB Parlor at Timonium Racecourse. We'll get you the opening date real soon.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Want to improve your golf game or learn to play for the first time? The Baltimore Golf Academy has fun, instructional programs for the beginner golfer to everyday players. The Baltimore Golf Academy can take your game to the next level. Enroll today at baltimoregolfacademy.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, back in here on GCR as continue along on a Monday edition of the program. Please Stan the Fan. I haven't gotten the email yet to say what time, but Stan the Fan, Charles, Ross Grimsley, Luke Jackson getting back together later on this afternoon to talk some baseball with you. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. If you miss it live, you can always see it a little bit later on. YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline. Or PressBoxOnline.com/video. As always, Stan's shows are brought to you by the Costas Inn, and we are very excited about the upcoming opening of the all-new Costas Inn in Timonium. So make sure you check out those shows, hopefully talking about a more pleasant turn for Orioles baseball. We will see. If it's a Monday here on GCR, that means it's time for us to welcome in our friend, host of the Big Bad Morning Show, 105.7 The Fan, ConcreteLocks.com, Mr. Jeremy Conn, back with us now here on GCR. What's going on, dude? How are you?
What's up, man? I'm doing well.
I need to know your routine. When you spend money on, yesterday, I took my wife and her mom and their friend that's just always done Mother's Day with us, who's very nice. I like her a great deal. To the buffet, the brunch buffet, right, for Mother's Day. What's the game plan for you when you go to a buffet? Do you think about how much this is costing you and what you need to consume in order to make it worthwhile? Are you able to block that out entirely and not consider it? What is the thought process?
Well, I mean, especially with buffets, you always want to try to get your money's worth. I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about it at Fogo, where it's I don't want to turn the card red. I want,
Yes,
but
bring me
eventually
more.
you
Yeah.
have to. Yeah. That's the one where I'm paying attention to it. For a normal buffet or like a brunch I'm just trying to eye up the things that I want to get for myself and make sure I get those and get enough of it, and that I leave enough room, which I never do, and I still eat the desserts, to eat as many desserts as possible.
So I had this problem yesterday where I obviously had to go directly to the prime rib. I had to go there, right?
Yeah.
I know what I'm paying for this. I'm gonna have to have the prime rib, right? Then I'm gonna have to have a plate's worth of oysters and shrimp, right? I have no choice. I'm gonna have to do it. And then I had to order an omelet on top of it, and I didn't even want the omelet when the guy brought the omelet out. I had just eaten prime rib and oysters and eggs. Why would I eat this omelet? but I can't help myself. Like, I don't know if it's when I became a dad. My wife and I have had this conversation because the moment that I became a father was the moment where I started, like, finishing the food on my kids' plates if we went out to eat. Like, on Friday night, we went somewhere with her stepmother, and, like, my kid left, like, a chicken tender on his plate, and I just grabbed it. And she was like, you didn't want that. I'm like, I know I didn't want it, but I can't just leave it. It's something about being a dad. And
I get that.
her stepmother's like, yeah, your dad was like that too. And she was like, what? I don't know how to explain it. And I feel like
it's like Ross on Friends not checking out until 11 o'clock. Like, I'm getting my
right,
money's worth. I'm
correct.
Staying until
That's when I'm allowed to stay till. I'm staying until then. I completely agree. And by the way, I recently did this at a hotel where I was doing the Annapolis, whatever that race was they had, Annapolis 10K, I think. I was the announcer for it. And I was staying in a hotel in Annapolis, and we finished up because, they do these races at like 6 in the morning. So we finished up, and it was like 9:55. And I said, I wonder if I could race back to the hotel in time to hit the continental breakfast before I got there. And I did.
Before they close it down.
I drove back to the hotel where I had clearly already departed, and I raced in right as they were getting ready to put away the food from the continental breakfast, which was actually a fine continental
but
breakfast.
I love that because that's the type of stuff I would do too. But I got two quick ones for you. And I don't know if you know this. It's not a buffet, but I'm assuming you've gone to an all-inclusive resort, right?
Of course,
and,
yes.
Okay, you stay there. The one thing that I didn't know that my buddy showed me is that more times than not, when you go to one of the restaurants on the all-inclusive, they don't care if you order 2 dinners.
100%.
So if you want to,
yes.
I didn't know that. My buddy, every restaurant we went to, he got 2 dinners, and I'm like, I said, you're taking advantage of the situation, and I went, it's genius. Why am I not doing that?
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. I would tell you, I only learned it, like, on our honeymoon, the first place that we went at the resort. I ordered what I wanted, and then the guy said, how about a lobster tail as well? And I said, come to think of it, how about a lobster tail?
It's a great pairing. Yeah.
Right?
You're the one that got – go ahead, sorry.
Well, then I do this – so we've been on a couple of cruises the last couple of years, right? And
never done a cruise.
And, this was – my father explained this to me because I was looking at the menu the first night we're on the cruise, and I was like, man, I can't decide between this and this. And my father looks at me and he said, so have both. And I said, well, I don't want both. And he said, doesn't matter. Order both.
Have 'em.
Enjoy them.
Yeah.
And I said,
well,
do I have to, like, make it a rope-a-dope? Do I need to, like, go through a production? Like, man, I can't really decide between this or this. He said, no. Say, I'd like this and also bring me this.
Yeah, and then they do. Because I think most of the waiters and waitresses, they don't care.
It's not
I know a lot of places don't allow you to tip, but, every once in a while you're leaving a 20 behind.
They let you tip on cruises. Oh, do they ever let you
Okay.
tip on cruises?
Well, my least favorite, it's probably my favorite buffet story, but my least favorite buffet experience, and I don't know if I've told this story on your show before, but went down to visit my dad in Florida, and he wanted snow crab legs.
So I thought you were about to say it was a meth buffet, which
No, that's not even close. No. So we were trying to find some place that had snow crab legs, and finally my dad finds a Chinese buffet that has them. So, Chinese buffet, you're not paying a ton, so you're assuming everybody wants to get the snow crab legs.
Yeah.
It makes it worth it, right? My dad goes over, 2 plates in hand, takes all of the snow crab legs. I mean, they just brought them out, and he took all of it. And the lady behind him is like, well, some of us want some. And he goes, I'm sure they'll bring some more out.
Yeah,
and
right.
He walked away. He did not care.
Yeah.
And then the restaurant manager came over, and he's like, can't take all the crab legs. And they were trying to explain it to him, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, you're just an a-hole, Dad. Even if you took half of them, you'd be an a-hole. But, go up and grab a couple plates here and there, and then it's then you're not taking everything and making everybody wait twice as long just to get them.
I don't know, man. I think he might be onto something, right? Like, why is this my concern, right?
And when I say all the snow crab legs, there wasn't even a piece of the end one left in there. Like, he took everything. It was just steamed water or whatever.
That is amazing. I got to be honest with you, man. I want to subscribe to his newsletter. Like, I want other tips.
How to be an a-hole and get away with it.
I want other
by
tips
Joe Conn.
from Joe Conn about how to go about living life. I couldn't help myself, man. I couldn't do it.
I can't do it either.
I'm
man.
like, I don't know why I have to think about that instead of thinking like, we also have to have another meal today because we've got to do the rest of the Mother's Day celebration with like my mom and I can't eat like this. This is outrageous. What am I doing? I can't help it. All I can think about is the amount of money that I'm paying for that meal. And like, I'm okay. I'm going to live. Like, this wasn't going to be the end of me paying for this meal, but God damn it, man. I just couldn't do My son said, I'm going to go back up for a second dessert. I said, boy, have 4. Like, have all.
Bring more back. Like, go get whatever you want.
Correct.
You know,
go get.
I'll dip my chicken in the chocolate fountain just to make sure I'm getting everything.
The lady that my wife and her mom are friends with was like, I'm not even sure if I want prime rib. I said, you're going to go get a prime rib right now. You're gonna, or there will not be a Mother's Day in
Buffalo
2020.
Bill. Get in there and eat that prime rib right now.
Put the lotion on your skin. Did the whole thing, man. I could not help myself in those moments. I want to present this to you, and I'm not sure that you're going to have an answer immediately, so I'm going to give you some time to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
What's something that you're just not into that you really wish you were, right?
Oh,
that,
I got plenty of answers.
Okay, that you like almost feel, and I'll tell you, I was thinking about this weekend here in Baltimore, watching so many people that I'm friends with that were at the Turnstile show on Saturday, right? Like, I like the idea of Turnstile so much, right? Like, they seem very cool. Literally, one of their guitarists is like one of my best friend's brothers. They're having incredible success. I have seen them live. I find them to be nothing more than fine, right? Like, I'm just like, yeah, that's just fine, and that's all I can possibly think about it. And when everybody's talking about how much they're in the Turnstile, when everybody's reaching out to me like, dude, you're gonna go to the Turnstile show, right? I'm like, have a good time. Like, it just doesn't do it for me, and I wish it did because I like the idea of Turnstile so much. Like, I've always wanted to be into golf, but I just can't do it. Like, I turn on the golf, and I'm like, this sucks, man. I know it doesn't. I know these people are incredible. Like, it's amazing what they can do, but I'm just not interested in it. I can't help myself. What is on that list for you?
I feel like I could just pepper you with some. Like, but the first thing is sushi. Like, the idea of going out and getting sushi sounds awesome, and I can't eat it. It makes, like, I don't like fish, most of it. And, yeah, my wife, we went on a tasting menu for our anniversary in Virginia. We were in Alexandria, Virginia for a really nice Japanese restaurant. And one of the things on there was sashimi. And the woman comes out and she goes, I told her I don't like fish. And she goes, well, this is the most mild. You don't even need soy sauce with it. And I'm like, all right. So then I smother it in soy sauce, and I go, I almost throw the damn thing up. And I think I told you this before, but, like, it seems like such a cool, fresh way to eat and, you know, somewhat healthy or whatever, depending on what you're getting.
Not really, but yeah, I get it, right?
I can't do it. And then you brought up sports. Like, a couple of my buddies love F1. And the groups that show up for it is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just not into it.
See, I'm good with the fact that I think that's poserism. I don't think anybody's actually into F1. I think it's a lot of posers that see that it looks exclusive and it's like what rich people are into, and they want to pretend like they're part of that. And so I think most people are faking it. Like, I'm convinced that this is a fake bit. And it's a bad radio bit. This thing where people are like suggesting they're actually into F1. I think it's because they want to wear cool watches and they want to believe that they have money that they don't have. I don't think it's real. And so I'm actually anti-F1 because of that. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sure the people that like it, it's great. But I'm telling you that there's a lot of poserism involved with the rise of F1, and so I'm glad I'm not an F1 person because.
So I went to a race that I went to the City Limits, the bar that I always go to.
Okay.
And my buddies got them to open up early all the time now for F1, so they get an F1 crowd in there. So I go in early. I'm like, all right, I'll hang out with you guys, check it out, see what it's like, and it's not for me. But I lean over because you see everybody's got their racer, and I ask my buddies, I'm like, who is the racer that everyone hates? And they both went Lance Stroll. Like, rich kid that got in. They hate him because he doesn't even have to drive well to stay there because
isn't
his
that
family
the point of F1? Isn't that just the entire concept of the sport?
I think so. So I start rooting loudly for Lance Stroll to just mess up the bar.
I do like that. I do.
2 minutes later, he gets in a car accident and he's out. Like, what the hell?
Okay,
But yeah, I mean, that's one. The other one that you'll understand this is I wish I was into pro wrestling the way I was when I was a kid, because there's so much content, there's so many things to talk about, and I just can't do it anymore. I just don't like it.
Is that because you watch the product and you think it's bad, or is it because like you just don't have the bandwidth in your life to also still be a pro wrestling fan?
No, I mean, because like I don't like a lot of the new guys. Like
Yeah.
You know what I feel like? I feel like Bob Haney when he talks about music, because he hasn't listened to anything since 1989 or after that.
Right.
Like he's an 80s rock guy, and that's that. And when it comes to wrestling, I'm like, I don't like these new guys. I don't like this storyline. I got to admit, there have been some cool ones, because I still watch like WrestleMania or Royal Rumble. We get together and do that, but that's more about getting with the guys and drinking than it is actually watching wrestling.
I feel this way about a lot of new rappers, where like I wish, because it makes me feel like a very old man. Like I feel like I'm an old man yelling at a cloud when I say like, this sucks, man. Like I really tried on like Travis Scott, and I'm like, no, he's just not good. Like this isn't good. I wish I didn't care about that, because it makes me feel like I'm an outsider, right? But like, speaking of WrestleMania, if I heard Fiend, I was gonna drill into my brain myself. Like I was gonna do the lobotomy, a self lobotomy.
You should have tried his seltzer when he had it a few years ago. Your whole opinion would have changed.
I'm sure that would have been the case. Like I don't even know if that's one that I wish that I could be into, because I do genuinely believe it sucks. Like I truly, in my heart of hearts, believe that Travis Scott does not make good music.
He's fine.
I don't think he is. I think it's bad. But I guess I wish I was into it, because then I would feel less old, you know what I mean? Like I don't like feeling old and feeling left out and feeling like the old man that's yelling at a crowd. Billie Eilish is one that I wish I was into. I wish I liked Billie Eilish.
I like her a lot.
I just listen to her music and I'm like, it's fine.
So can I tell you what just happened to me? And this is, maybe it's just me that this happens to.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard me lay on my horn, and I almost dropped a couple of F-bombs back here.
No.
An 18-wheeler. There's a cop that has a car pulled over out of the lane. You don't have to, like, I know you want to drive around them or get into the next lane because the cop's there and all those things. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're supposed to give them room and get into the next lane. So I'm in the other lane. There's an 18-wheeler there that just starts getting over in my lane and almost hits me and drove me off the side of the road.
God, man.
I pull up next to the guy, and he's giving me the finger.
Well,
I haven't even said anything, done anything, and he just gives me the finger. And I so badly just want to slow down and just give this guy the business, but I'm on the phone with you guys.
Rita and I were having this conversation the other night. Rita says she's a real one like this. Like, if you cut her off and she pulls up next to you at the red light, she's going to let you know about it. Like, she's
I will too.
See, I'm the exact opposite, where I'm going to scream loudly in my car, and then if I pull up next to you at the red light, I don't want to fight. I have no interest in that. I'm going to look the other way. I'm not going to do it. Like, if you've got a weapon in that vehicle, I don't want my life to end today. So I'm going to be super pissed off, but I ain't doing a thing about it.
We've all done something where we got over and maybe you cut somebody off and didn't mean to. I think it's just as simple enough to just put your hand up and say, hey, that's my bad. I'm so sorry. Whatever. I pull up next to the guy. I don't expect him to be giving me the finger before I've even said anything.
Right.
You know, like, you did wrong, not me. I was in a lane.
He's mad at you. That feels like a millennial thing, by the way. Like when you tell somebody they screwed up and they're mad at you. Like no, you screwed up.
It's a two-age thing.
You're the one.
Slow down slow enough to get next to him again, because I want to yell. It's my exit's coming up for me to get off.
Yeah.
And I just want to yell at this guy, or at least see if there's a number on the back that says, how's my driving? I'll let you know.
Yeah, we'll make that phone call.
No
doubt about it.
Unbelievable, man. Sorry.
Hey, who's going to win the NBA title?
I still think it's going to be the Thunder. I mean, they're the best team. They're the best team I watched all year. I feel like they got their, I don't want to say comeuppance, but, I feel like you got to lose in the NBA before you can win in the playoffs, that is. And so, like, Minnesota last year, when they were hot and the Mavs knocked them off, and the Mavs the year before, what did they do? They lost in the playoffs. And now you look at the Thunder, the Mavs knocked them out. So you got these young teams that haven't experienced this yet. Now they have a little bit of experience. I do think they're the best team left. It's a shame what's going on with the Cavs and all the injuries. The Celtics can't hit a three to save their life, but I think they're probably going to pull back in this series and end up winning it over the Knicks. I do ultimately think it's going to be the Thunder and Celtics when it comes down to it.
I still think it's going to be the Thunder and Celtics too. I just had that feeling watching the Celtics again on Saturday that, like, as exciting as this was for a couple of games, like, no, it's just going to be the boring ass Celtics all over again. Like, it's just what we're doomed to, is just the boring ass unwatchable. Speaking of unwatchable, holy F, the Warriors without Steph Curry. Jesus Christ, are they unwatchable?
Yeah, well, you talk about that, like, you know, look, I'm a gambling guy. The totals all year long in the NBA were anywhere from 220 was a low total to all the way up to 250.
Right.
And then now, like, the Celtics and the Knicks, when they played earlier in the season, their totals were in the high 220s or mid 220s. And then now their total is 208.
Yep.
And Minnesota's total is 200. And you're going, do these guys just not play defense during the year? Like,
yeah, I do understand that, like, there's going to be a difference between the regular season and the postseason, but, like, it's just
that's a drastic drop.
This hasn't been as much about the defense. Like, I will give the Warriors credit. Like, they've been playing defense. Like, ironically, you know, Steph doesn't, but, like, the rest of the Warriors have been playing defense in the postseason.
Well, when they added Jimmy, they became the number one defense in the league statistically.
But God, man, like, they're just not, and nothing about what I'm seeing from the Timberwolves makes me say, like, oh, this is the exciting team that we all thought a year ago was going to be the, you know, the revelation in basketball. Like, they're just, it's just pulling teeth, man. Like, it is. This is the time of year where, like, I genuinely enjoy watching basketball, and, like, I've not found myself feeling that way about this round of the playoffs.
Well, the thing that we got into today, which I think is ultimately a great debate for where you put certain guys. You know, you're always trying to figure out, if you did your top 10 list, how many modern day guys or guys that are still playing are on that list.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the most interesting thing is, if you look at Nikola Jokic and what he's done, he has a higher efficiency rate of anybody that's ever played the game. Like, it's absurd how good he is.
You're right.
And even though, like, I was surprised. Rob said he started watching him, and Rob said he could have easily won the last 5 MVPs.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I wasn't familiar with your game.
Oh,
he's incredible.
It's insane. But, like, in a way, I can't believe I'm about to say this. It's almost boring how good he is.
That's a very fair statement, I think, because, like, you're kind of like, if he shoots that little 5-footer in the lane, I'm shocked when he misses it.
Right.
Like, he never, I'm shocked when it touches any part of the rim. That's how ridiculous he is, and he's shooting over 50% from 3 in the postseason.
God, it's nuts, man. It's nuts. It's just so insanely good. Do you have any hope that this weekend in Anaheim will kickstart the Baltimore Orioles?
I mean, I hope so. Like, you got to admit, it's a tough watch. If you looked at that Angels lineup on Saturday, you're going, how did you give up any runs?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm not trying to be totally dismissive, because our lineup just can't hit with runners in scoring position. Like, if you get the first, don't go to second, because you're probably not going to score. I mean, it's that bad, like historically bad. I'm hoping so. They get some pieces back, but they've dug themselves a hole. And where I'm a guy that says all you have to do is win series, and I still believe that, but they've had a couple hiccups where they've gotten swept, and it's like, I feel like to get closer, you got to get 1 or 2 sweeps along the way. It just has to happen.
I agree, and you got to start putting it together. I don't know, man. I want to believe that, like, hey, Gunnar Henderson looks pretty Gunnar Henderson-y, you know, like, that's a good thing, obviously, like, but I don't know.
Well, Westberg, Cal. I mean, think about what's missing from the lineup right now. Even getting O'Neal back this weekend.
Okay, but
I mean, that right-handed lineup just looks like trash.
I still just don't really know what Tyler O'Neal is, and I hate saying, nor do I really know what Colton Cowser is, right? Like,
You know what? Tyler O'Neal's going to be that guy that makes up a bunch of most of his statistics in a handful of games. He's one of those. I always talk about Jose Ramirez. If you look at his home run totals at the end of the year, you're like, man, he's a home run hitter. He is, but he ends up having two games of 3 home runs, and 2 games of 2 home runs, and all of a sudden you're going, well, damn, that's 10 of them right there.
Right.
And that's what he does year to year. I feel like Tyler O'Neal is very similar. Like, he's going to have a hot streak where you're going, oh my God, I'm glad we got this guy. But I don't know, overall, you're going to look at it and go, yeah, this wasn't it. They went kind of bargain shopping for an Anthony Santander-like guy, and they got this guy on the cheap. Yeah. So, relatively speaking,
that's kind of what I think he is. I'm with you, man. All right, what's going on in your world this week?
Well, Ed's back in studio, so it's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Getting all the guys back together. Yeah. So I told him, I want to see what you think about this. So Ed has this bandage on his back that he needs changed. And I said, man, just tell me when you want it changed.
Right,
I'll
yeah,
change it.
I
I'm
got
not,
it. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So he's got to take his shirt off, and we go in the men's room. So I told him my idea was that I want to take my shirt off too. So
yes.
if anybody walks in,
It's not weird.
it's just us with our shirts
Right,
off.
correct.
And you can't explain that.
Exactly
Yeah.
right. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world. Can I tell you that what I said to you guys last week is so when I hear him do the Lions Den read, like I lose it because this is legitimate. When he first started in radio, like we weren't allowed to have women around. Like we weren't supposed to pretend that like he was like a eunuch. Like somehow we were supposed to be like, no, he's like the Pope. He doesn't even talk to women. Like
I love the guy, and I know some of his sex stories.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The guy's a deviant, man.
Yes.
and I love
100%. Oh my God. He said something to me one time, Jeremy. I might have to text it to you. I don't think I can do it on the air. We went to the roller derby once. I don't know why. I found out later why.
Oh yeah.
I swear to God. I said Ed texted me. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, "I don't know, man. I'm gonna meet up with this girl later." He's like, "Bring her to the roller derby." I said, "The what? The what?"
That's the thing with him though. Like you just never know. Like I had somebody, and I'll use a different occupation, but let's say it was a chiropractor called me and said, "Hey, come see me." And the person's like, "Oh yeah, I know Ed. I've seen Ed for years." So then, of course, when I see Ed the next time or I talk to him, I want to go, "Hey, I just saw this chiropractor. They said they know you," and he starts giggling, and I'm like, "You slept with her, didn't you?
Yep.
You son of a bitch.
Yep.
Everybody I run into, you've slept with.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure he slept with me when I was sleeping.
100%. Well, he did spend. You know, it's weird thinking back on it. Like I might have been able to allege that he was grooming me at one point because, like, he would legit. We would do the show, and I would have to be back to do another show on 1300 at like 4 p.m. And he would say, "I'm going to take you out to lunch." And I would say, like, "Thanks, Ed." And then he'd start giving me drinks. Like, Tuesday at 2 p.m. And I had to go back to work.
You might be one of them, too, but there's plenty of guys at the station that tell Ed if he dies, "Can we have your phone?"
Right.
Because there's so much porn. And, like, I don't know how many different people he's – like, why am I saying this? How many different people he's hooked up with that he's worked with over the years? I mean, the guy's – I mean, he's a poon hound. That's what he is. He's a ladies' man, whether people want to realize it or not.
It did not take long for Ed and I, after we started working together, to become Eskimo brothers. It did not take long at all.
He's Eskimo brothers with Willis McGahee, too. That's his favorite story to tell.
Not surprised by that even a little bit. Not even a little bit surprised. I just texted you the thing that he said at the I don't think I can pass that along. I don't think I can say that on the air.
Just say it.
And I know he said that.
100%. It stayed with me for forever.
I have an Ed story that I can't tell on the radio.
Yeah.
And that same story I can't tell to anyone.
Oh.
It's locked down. It's that good.
Wow.
Or that bad. However you want to put it.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Love you, buddy. At Concrete or at JCon Sports on social. ConcreteLocks.com is the website. Let's talk again next Monday. Thank you, pal.
All right, guys. I'll see you.
Jeremy Conn with us. He is every Monday here on GCR. Yeah. Good times. All right. Is there anything we didn't cover from this weekend? Anything else that happened that we didn't talk about? I feel like we got into basically everything today. Capitals lost. They're down 2-1. I brought that up with Steve. I know for the hardcore guys like you.
Yeah, it was a bummer.
It was a tough.
But we'll get right back at it tonight.
Ruin the weekend.
I feel good.
We could talk about the fights. Nope, we'll do that on Thursday.
Yeah.
All right, very good. That's
decisions.
Think that's it. I'll tell you what we can talk about. What a dud Walton Goggins SNL was.
Oh, really? I always
like you have so much to work with between Gemstones and White Lotus, and they don't do a single sketch related to either of them. Nothing. He sort of refers to the White Lotus during his monologue. That's it. Nothing.
So you're no longer a Goggin. You're no longer.
No, I love him.
You're no longer, what do you call these Goggers?
Yeah, Goggers. Yeah. They failed him. Like they didn't. Their writers just like wrote sketches that it could have been anyone. Like there was no. Like he's one of the most eccentric. Like he's played some of the most eccentric characters in modern history, and they like one character that they wrote probably needed to be Walton Goggins to make it work. But man, most of it was any old host could do for this. it was a dud. Arcade Fire is as bad as I remember them being, and they didn't even do they literally had a Chicago Pope handed to them, and didn't do anything outside of Weekend Update. Now, somebody would say, I guess we didn't find out who the Pope was until Thursday, and like SNL starts writing on.
They've been able to turn things around.
Correct. That's when you say, now we need a new sketch. Holy F, it was a dud. I was heartbroken, man. Like, he was great, but he was asked to do.
He did.
And then even like the stuff that historically on SNL is the best is like the pre-recorded sketches. And even those were just kind of a waste. Like it.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It was really. It was such a big week.
Saturday night.
It's the most important week of the year. It's kind of a nothing episode, man. That was a real bummer.
You had a whole big dinner beforehand.
Right. I went to the buffet yesterday morning, but I had Saturday night.
Yeah, you must have had a lot of food.
I didn't watch SNL until last night.
I never see you eat food ever.
Ever.
I don't. Like all you did.
I don't
eat
like this. Saturday night, I had a $500 dinner, right? Like, just outrageous. Oh my God! I told her we could get the seafood. I always say the most baller thing in the world is when you order the seafood tower. Like, there's by the way, it wasn't a tower at this place. It was more
a platter.
I don't know what you want to call it, but it was still chilled. It was the same concept. It just wasn't a tower.
A raw bar, a mini raw bar.
It feels less baller when it's not a tower. The tower makes it feel baller. Like, then people see you.
Right. It's like why you order fajitas at,
correct.
Applebee's.
Chili's, exactly right. Because then people know you're a baller. Just in here eating fajitas on a Tuesday. So we get that. I tell her we'll do that, thinking like that'll be the big expense of the night. And then she says, I think I'm going to order the filet.
Nice. Hey.
Okay, sure you are. Anyway, whatever.
Her weekend.
Whatever, yeah, fine. The anniversary, whatever. I got a bottle of champagne.
Nice.
Like, the whole thing. I actually had a glass of champagne this weekend.
I would have joined you guys.
I had an alcohol.
Wow.
And I told her after one glass of champagne, I said, you can take advantage of me. Like, that's how little I drink. I don't drink. We didn't even do a drinking show this year because my holidays went to hell. The only time I drank in the last 365 days at all was the pig roast. So this was the first alcohol that I had.
And when it touches your lips.
I did not have more. No, I went to bed. So I did that. Then on Sunday morning, the buffet. So I'm cool $1,000 between the two, right? And like, why would we need to take a vacation this year when we could just have 2 meals? I mean, my God. Then she'll say something like that to me, like, oh, we didn't even really go anywhere for a 10th anniversary. I'm like, yes, we did. We went to dinner. And it cost about as much as it would cost for us to go to Acapulco.
Hey, well, at least you single-handedly are keeping the economy afloat right
now. Yeah, you're welcome. Good. So after all that, we still have to have my family over.
Well, at least that's an in-house thing,
Yeah, correct. I grilled some chicken thighs and I think she boiled some corn.
Okay.
She was like, "Can you also?" She also like when I say let's grill for family's gonna come over, let's grill. She buys like the entire poultry section at the grocery store. And I'm like, you want me to grill all of this? And she's like, yes. I said, for who? She's like, well, we'll eat it during the week. Skeptical of that. I'm sending everybody home with chicken. Come on, Mom, you need more chicken? She's like, I already took like 4 thighs. I'm like, yeah, but we have more. So I prepare all this food, and then I realize I'm going to have 1 chicken thigh. Like, that's all I'm going to eat because I can't eat. I just ate a prime rib and oysters and shrimp and an omelet and some breakfast potatoes at the brunch in order to try to justify the money that I spent. God damn, man. I'm looking forward to cam girling later this week. I don't know exactly how it works. Like, is it like camgirl.com?
Unfortunately, I don't. Yeah, I don't know
how
either.
How do you start? And do you just start performing?
You're still sure this is the best?
Do you have to wait for people to like show up and then you start taking your clothes off, or like how does that work?
I don't know.
Figure out how I'm going to sell pictures of my feet.
Just gonna have to.
Would
find.
you?
Well, that sounds more simple.
Can you start that process for me? Like figure out how that works.
I mean, yeah, I think you just start an OnlyFans. I guess, right?
Is that where you do feet pictures?
GC toes, you know.
I thought there were like specific websites for feet.
See, I feel like you're trying to egg me into like.
And do I need to
putting something in my search history?
Do I need to do it? Do I need to get like a pedicure, or do like are they into like not pedicured feet,
mangled feet?
I don't know how that works.
So I think I'm sure there's an audience.
I gotta pay for all this somehow, some way. I gotta pay for this weekend that I just had.
Just bet on the Celtics or something.
I can't. I don't know how people eat like this. How do you eat like this? It's what I feel like when I go on one of these cruises. It's all people do on these cruises. They just eat. Like they have breakfast and then they turn around and eat again. I'm like, what? We just ate. How are we doing this?
You look and you can kind of understand when
you see some of the people, but not all of them. Not all of them. There are some good-looking people on these cruises. Not many, but some. A handful, like a couple.
I guess that's all they eat for the year.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm like, we're eating again. My brother-in-law is this type of person. He's like, I planned it out. I'm going to have 5 meals today. I'm like, 5 meals?
That's it?
How? How do you do it? I don't understand. He's like, well, we're going to have lunch, then we're going to have second lunch at around 3.
Nice.
And I'm like, well, then we're going to dinner.
That's first dinner, though.
That's what legitimately. And he's like, yeah, but then the pizza station will be open at about 10:30 at night.
I would have done 2 breakfasts if we're doing a 5-meal day.
Well, you got to be up early for that. Like, you can't.
For breakfast? Yeah, it's worth it.
That's not happening.
I'll get up early for food.
Not happening. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you by
lunch, I think, is the way to go. Lunch is probably the worst.
Well, I think on the one
to me, lunch food's the worst.
The bit on the one cruise is everybody went to the burger place because it was old Guy Fieri's burgers.
Okay.
They're fine. Like I would say they're not really even as good as a typical burger.
It's more about the cheese that you put on there.
I don't know what it is that made everybody. There was a line like 100 people long for these Guy Fieri burgers.
Perfect. Then I will just go somewhere else with no line.
And that's what I was like. There's all this. There's like basmati rice in here. There's like a great Indian food station. Like what?
I'm glad everyone's at the
doing out here.
Burger place.
Well, one day I was like, these burgers must be the greatest burgers ever made. So I finally said, I don't feel good about this, but like I saw the line was forming like 30 minutes before the burger shop opened, and then I slyly, when the burger shop opened, created another line to go to the other side. I don't feel good about who I am, but these burgers had to be good, man.
It's a cruise. There's no rules.
Then I tried and I said, this is not. If you've waited 2 minutes for this burger, you've waited 2 minutes too long.
Someone spent half their cruise waiting in line for this burger.
I swear to God, the burger shop would open at 11, and at like 10 a.m., I would see people start lining up for the burgers.
And that's probably what they do. They get their burger, jump right back in line while they're eating their burger.
I've never seen anything like it.
Just keep
They rave about these burgers. I swear, my wife's cousin had been on this cruise line before, and like the boat that we were on, and she's like, "Oh my God, all we did all week was eat burgers."
No shuffleboard?
I thought I respected you. I thought we were cool. That's the print issue of Press Box. It's available right now at your neighborhood Royal Farms and at the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. Read it all, PressBoxOnline.com. Felix Bautista, who gave up a very long home run yesterday.
That's all right.
If you're going to do that, you might as well do it in a game where you're up by 5. That's a good time to give up very long home runs. You can go pick that up for free wherever you find Press Box. The Hard Road Back, the cover story from our own Luke Jackson.
That guy Lugo.
What you got for a tidbit?
I'm
not
sure
much of an outfielder, that guy.
No.
Not much of an outfielder.
You know Shane Smith.
Shane Smith.
I say that name. Does that mean anything to you?
Shane. Now, he was the outfielder for the Orioles in 2000. Was that the 14 team?
No.
When was?
You're thinking of Scott Smith? Is that
Seth?
Seth.
He was the receiver for the Panthers that played for the Ravens later that rearranged that lady's organs.
No, I believe that was old Steven Smith. Yeah.
Shane Smith.
Yep. He is a pro athlete. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm running out of them. I got nothing. Who's Shane Smith?
He's a starter for the White Sox right now.
Sure he is.
And yeah, the White Sox.
You don't say.
White Sox not good, but Shane Smith, very good actually. He has a sub 2.50 ERA across his first 8 career starts to start this season. But his team has lost 7 of 8 of his starts.
He was the White Sox.
That is,
that's about right.
He is the only pitcher to have a sub 250 ERA through his first 8 career starts, and his team to lose 7 of those 8 games. So yeah, tough sledding for old Shane Smith and the Pope's favorite baseball team. The Padres also had a kind of a wacky game. They beat the Rockies. Bud Black fired, by the way, over the weekend by the Rockies.
Why? What happened?
They lost on Saturday.
They stayed within 3 scores. What are you talking about?
21-0. I think was
it's a
the
3-score game.
Yeah, not too bad, I guess.
In the new modern era, you're probably going to go for a 2 in there at some point.
I think it was plus 28.5, so they covered. They covered easily, actually. First team to score 20 runs and have their starter throw a 9-inning shutout is Stephen Kolek.
Why would they let their starter go that long?
This was like his second career start for this guy too.
Yikes. I got some questions about that.
Yeah, he went 9 innings, 9-inning shutout. First time that this has happened since 1889. When the Cincinnati Red Stockings did it.
Oh, I did see that against the Baltimore Orioles.
Against the Orioles.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And then I tweeted Drew, and I said, hey, what do you remember about that game?
And he broke it down.
I was proud of that one.
Today would have been the 100th birthday of Yogi Berra.
Oh, how about it?
Yeah.
How about it?
And he played in his career.
When you come to a fork in the road, you should take it.
Yeah. 1,699 games in the career for
nobody
Yogi
goes
Berra
there
at
anymore.
catcher.
It's too crowded.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of, you got any more?
Or Yogiisms.
Yeah.
Yogi was the best. I mean, he was a Yankee, so we're supposed to hate him, but how do you hate Yogi Berra?
20th most games all-time played defensively as a catcher at just shy of 1,700. There are 6 catchers in MLB history that have played 2,000 games as a catcher. 6.
Carlton Fisk.
Carlton Fisk is number 2, yes. Over 2,200 for Carlton Fisk.
How about Yachty?
Yes, Yachty's on the list. He's 4th. Over 2,100 games at catcher for Yachty or Molina.
I'll try Pudge.
Pudge is number 1. 2,427 games behind the dish for Ivan Rodriguez.
How about Gary Carter?
Gary Carter's on the list. He's 5th.
So far, it's Hall of Famers and Hall of Fame adjacent. So, how many more do we need to come up with?
We need 2 more.
2 more.
Number 3 and number 6.
2 more, you say? 2 more. The problem with the next guys that I'm thinking of is I'm gonna say it's definitively not Joe Mauer because he split too much time and
not Joe Mauer.
And I don't, because of the injuries, I'm gonna guess that Buster Posey didn't get there.
Nope, he did not get there.
How about? Oh man. How about? I don't think Piazza got there either.
Piazza did not get there. I'm trying to find out.
Jorge Posada.
No Jorge Posada. Joe Mauer is 154th.
Yeah, I mean, he just started. Yeah. I don't think most of us realized how definitively split, how small his percentage of games caught was.
Posey was over 1,000, so he's 100th exactly on the list. Oh, no, right behind Orioles legend Todd Hundley.
Todd Hundley, how about that? Who's not Nick Hundley. They were both Orioles at some point. Yeah.
So that's what I meant. Yeah. I nailed it.
Yeah, you had no idea that Todd Hundley was ever an Oriole. You really had no clue. How about
Piazza's 22nd, so he was close, but he's 2 slots behind Yogi.
How about our buddy A.J. Pierzynski?
Pierzynski's a good guess. He's not in the top 6. Okay. He did play over 1,900 games.
Damn.
Yeah, he is 9th all time. Damn. Games played by a catcher. Games played at catcher.
I mean, Johnny Bench?
Not Johnny Bench.
Who's the other guy that just got it? Ted Simmons?
Not Ted Simmons.
I got
the guy number 3
Sandy
on the list.
Alomar.
Not Sandy Alomar. He did some managing in the 90s with the Royals, with whom he ended his career with. And then he also managed the Reds from 01 to 03.
Oh, Bob Boone.
Yep, Bob Boone.
Okay.
Number
Is that it?
3 all time. No, and then we also need number 6. This guy played also over 2,000 games at catcher.
You're not going to tell me anything about him?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe throw more. You don't have one more dart?
One more dart to throw. One more dart. Javi Lopez.
Played on the East Coast, not Javi Lopez.
Played on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Great.
No, he's from San Diego, though.
Swell.
He played for
Jason Varitek.
No, not Jason, not Varitek. Jason.
Oh, Jason Kendall?
Jason Kendall.
Jason Kendall?
Played over 2,000 games at catcher.
Really?
Yeah. Number 6 all time, Jason Kendall. Tony Pena at 7. Brad Ausmus at 8.
We could have been here for a while. I don't know that I would have come up with Jason Kendall. Wow.
AJ Przinsky is 9th all time.
How about it? All right. Very good. Let's get tubular then.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, here's what's coming up tonight, totally tubular-wise. The Preakness draw, the post-position draw, 9 horses, 3 that ran. I'm going to do a column today about the Preakness and about the Triple Crown calendar and some of the stuff we talked about with Randy Moss last week. It's either already up or it'll be up shortly at PressBoxOnline.com. But the post-position draw for the Preakness just after 6 o'clock, they will put it on WBAL. And I think they stream that as well. They do it from Guinness, I believe. Big one tonight, Capitals Hurricanes Game 4, 7 o'clock, TNT and True TV for all the hardcores like Griffin. Golden Knights Oilers Game 4 at 9:30. ESPN has the NBA Draft Lottery. I saw my friends the Junkies.
Big night for us Washington fans.
My friends the Junkies, speaking of Washington, apparently did a segment this morning that was, which would you rather, the Wizards winning the lottery or the Capitals winning Game 4? And I was like, that's a damn good Would You Rather Wednesday, right? Yeah, like, now I think you're a monster if you don't take the Capitals. Like, I think.
Are you? You get Cooper Flagg, though, out of this.
Yeah, right, but he's going to be a wizard, as I keep telling you.
Yeah, exactly.
We
need him.
It's going to fail. Like, it does not matter.
Yeah, but you got to need some sort of hope.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
It's either they need to get pick number 1 or they fall to, like, what, 7th, 8th, wherever Derek Queen, once it gets reasonable to take Derek Queen.
Go, right? Take him there. I don't know. I think I saw him like 5th in a reason.
Oh, really? All right, fine. Then 5.
Celtics, Nets at 7, the draft lottery. Celtics, Knicks.
Or they get
4.
1 and they take Derek Queen anyway.
Right? Yeah, because he's better. Celtics, Knicks Game 4 at 7:30, and Timberwolves, Warriors Game 4 at 10. Baseball today, Masson for Nationals, Braves at 7:15. FS1 for Diamondbacks, Giants at 9:45. MLB Network, Red Sox, Tigers at 6:40. MLB TV, the free game is Cardinals, Phillies at 6:45. And Netflix for WWE Monday Night Raw tonight at 8. Non-sports.
Really not. Really nothing, actually. Jasmine Crockett, the Democratic representative out of Texas, and Ryan Reynolds will be on Colbert.
They're plugging the Thunderbolts.
Really?
Everybody knows that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Welcome to Wrexham.
I believe it's Thundergers. Yes.
Oh.
Thundergers.
Wrexham comes back this week.
That's this week?
Yeah.
Oh, that is very good news.
Sofia Vergara and Maren Morris will be on Fallon.
Yes, plugging Welcome to Wrexham.
Wow.
Yes,
okay.
they're
big
very,
soccer fans.
Yeah, they're excited.
They're
actually not even plugging the show; they're just plugging the team.
Yeah. Okay.
Big
nice.
fans of the team.
Just go Wrexham.
Go Wrexham.
Go Wrexham. Olivia Munn will be on Seth Meyers.
Just by herself.
Yeah. Well,
is
Adam
she also
Pally,
the musical
Adam
guy?
Pally.
I love Adam Pally.
And John Garbers.
They're plugging the NBA playoffs.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Nice. Cool.
Adam Pally was on that. He was on Happy Endings, which is like the most criminally underappreciated show of the last 15 years. And then he was also on that Steph Curry show that was on Peacock that was so much better than it had any business being. The hell was that show called?
The golf one or the
it was
one?
It was a sitcom.
Oh.
Yeah. It was a sitcom with Steph Curry, and it was really good.
I don't know.
God damn.
You're big Greg Gutfield.
Mr. Throwback is what it was called. And your girl Ego Wodum was on it as well.
I'll claim Ego.
It was really
I don't know why she's my girl, but I'll
stunningly good. Like, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I'm like, how is this show good? It was really good, man.
Greg Gutfeld, you're a big guy. You're a big, Greg,
you know me.
Big double G guy.
Yeah, double G, that's what they call him.
He's doing a thing on Fox News called "What Did I Miss?" They locked a bunch of people in like some farmhouse right after Inauguration Day, and they're gonna have them guess at like a game show. They're competing for $50,000. They're gonna guess what headlines are real and which ones are fake from the last like 100 days.
I mean, I don't know. That's kind of.
It does sound, yeah.
I mean, like it's Fox, so they're gonna.
Right. It's gonna be pigeon-tailed in the way they want
it's gonna suck, but like the concept.
Yeah.
Is really good. Is that it?
That is it. There's no.
Very
You're watching Raw tonight, obviously.
Yes.
After the draft.
Got to figure out the fallout from R-Truth getting put through the table by John Cena on Saturday night.
Gosh.
Son of a bitch. Thanks today to Fub Peebles. Thanks also to Steve Johnson and Jeremy Conn. We'll get it up in the greatest hits section of the.
Brander and Eddie, we're taking it steady. Is that all right? I got it right there.
Anything on the program tomorrow?
Brander and Eddie were popular steadies and the king and the queen at the prom. And the rest of the verse.
Anything on the program tomorrow?
Patrick Stevens will join us.
That's it?
Yeah, there's a lot of lacrosse to talk about.
Yeah, there is. You're right. Cool. Thanks to everybody at Pressbox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel, the Preakness Festival, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Baltimore's Classic 5 Golf Courses, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costas Inn, Maryland Sports, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Monday evening. Go nobody. Duke sucks.
Go to the draft lottery pick.